How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 26 of the ControllerCast. This week, I am joined by Andrew Blofeld Eisenhower and Johnny and Johnny
The sheep.
the sheep. Yeah, Johnny the sheep Wood. And I, as always, am Ursula Lecter. So, guys, how's your week been? Andrew, you want to start us off?
So me and John watched Nebraska choke it
You went
away.
to the game?
No, we watched it on TV. But
Yeah, that was a painful one to watch from start to finish.
Scott Frost did not sacrifice himself to Christ nearly as hard as he needed to.
I like to thank God for this win, this loss.
But I will say, shout out to our fantasy football chat. If you looked at the chat and had never known the context, you would think we're the most Christian people on the face of the earth. So that was fun. We just sent Jesus gifts the entire game, hoping that something would happen. And nothing
hoping
happened.
that Nebraska would get lucky and get blessed.
Yes, but then Iowa won, so Iowa undefeated. Parker going to be happy, and he's not even on the podcast.
And well, it was weird because I saw like a tweet from Dave Portnoy. Is that his fucking name? He was talking about like, I've always dreamt of Nebraska, something, this and that. I'm like, okay, did Nebraska win? And then I look it up and it's like Nebraska did win. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Well, when he tweeted that, I think we were up like 22-19 or some stupid ass score like that.
It was looking like we had a decent chance for a second, but nope. Of course we threw it away.
was junk stock windy?
Yes, junk stock was very windy, but it was pretty fun. I mean, there's a lot of good food there.
What is junk stock for our out of state and out of country listeners?
Yeah. How would you even describe that?
Junk stock is a event that happens in the outskirts of Omaha, and I'm like off the record. I want to say I think their owners are not paying taxes because they only allow you to pay in cash. But it's just like a huge like think of like a farmer's market, but like 3 times bigger. It's just like this huge like market where there's just a ton of local vendors who just sell stuff, and like there's a ton of good food, and there's like live music. It's a pretty cool place. I bought like a pack of granola bars, but
were they Carolina Reaper?
No, they're made by some local place down by my apartment. So I got some granola bars, and they're orange dreamsicle, and they were really good. So shout out to them.
For a granola bar.
Yeah, but it was extremely windy. The food was pretty good. We got they had this food truck that was like this Irish place. That's actually by my old house that we used to rent on Pacific Street. And they had Reuben egg rolls, which are really good. And then we got these noodles we got these noodles from this egg roll place, and they did not settle very well with me or Jordan.
Eggwa?
Yeah, they were eggwa. And then we went to Glacial Till for some food and drinks. So
hey, okay,
it was a pretty good day.
When I come in,
do not come.
Do not come.
I'm gonna
come when I come. And like, how many ways can I fit come into this sentence? Okay. But when I come in like a and a half, can you guys take me to this fucking Glacial Till distillery or whatever the fuck? Because I've never been.
Yeah, for sure. Why not, dude? Dude, they've got the best hard cider.
Yeah, super fire.
It's in Ashland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so not too far away. It's like half an hour away from us.
Yeah.
All right, I'm putting it on you guys. I want to go.
Yes, Arsenal, tell us about your week. I saw you were like watching like monster trucks or some bullshit.
Yeah, what the heck? Dude, that fair looked lit.
Yeah, so I had a bit of an exciting week, I guess. So obviously catching up with the Bond films, watching those. And then also I went to the Arizona State Fair yesterday. So I want to ask you guys, like, have you guys ever been to a state fair? Because this was actually my first experience going to a state fair, so I didn't know like what I was expecting. I was like expecting junk stock, and like
just like local vendors.
Yeah, and I mean there were like local vendors there, but like this was like huge. Like this was really really big, and it was pretty much like also like an amusement park. There was a bunch of roller coasters and like Ferris wheels and all this stuff set up, and I ate to my heart's content. Just going off the top of my head, what did I eat? Uh, I had pizza, which is normal. I had like elote. But the thing I want to point out that probably the most state fairy food that I had deep fried cheesecake. And
they had that at Junk Stock actually. I didn't end up getting it, but they did have that there.
Yeah, and it was so good. I mean, like like Future. I love cheesecake.
Did you have deep fried Oreos?
I did actually. I actually did have that. One of like we went in a group of like 7, and someone else got that, didn't finish theirs, gave it out to the rest of us. I had one of those.
Deep fried Oreos are crazy. They like melt the Oreo. It's delicious.
Yeah, deep fried anything. Like it's cutting off like 5 years of my life. But you know what? It was fantastic. I loved it. I also had carne asada fries, which were really good at this like taco place. Oh gosh, it was so good. And the deep fried cheesecake, it just melts the cheese part, right? So you're just biting it and the cheese is just oozing out. I was like, it's so good. But have you guys gone to state fairs? I'm curious because I think Casey was saying Nebraska has one, but I never went to the Nebraska one.
I don't even know if Nebraska has one.
Yeah,
I haven't been to a state fair, but I've been to county fairs.
I've been to the Nebraska
I think she might have been
and the Iowa one. The Nebraska one is not very good, in my opinion.
That's why I thought there wasn't one.
They have a lot of like decent food. It's in like Grand Island. It's like way out in like the middle of the state. I'm like, okay, just go away from all the population centers. But
you went to the Iowa one?
The Iowa one is fantastic. They have way better food and they have way more like attractions, I guess. Like
I've heard the Iowa one
like rides and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty dope. And like
how big is it? Like can you quantify that for us in any way?
I'm trying to think.
Is it like as big as a theme park?
I mean, yeah, it's huge. Like look up the Iowa State Fair Fairgrounds. It's a huge area in Des Moines. And like the thing that's cool about the Iowa one is there's like a bunch of like kind of like museum exhibits. So it's not all just like food and like monster trucks and like roller coasters and shit. But like if you go there, yeah, it's pretty big. It's huge. But if you go there like during like an election year, like before the Iowa caucuses, like there's tons of like presidential candidates that go there just because it's like so like notable and like renowned, I guess.
Damn.
But I've heard good things about the Minnesota State Fair.
I know. I was just about to say
I haven't been to that one, but maybe I should go some year.
I've heard the Minnesota one is like the biggest in the country.
Really?
I can see that. I've heard it's like insane.
Because the people that we went with, two of the people were from Minnesota, and they said the Minnesota State Fair one is like, they said it's just like absolute madness, like like just insanity. Like if you're going there with like a casual mindset, you will be like trampled over and like it'll just not be a good time. You got to go in there with like a mission, a plan. You got to be ready to go. But yeah, I want to go to the Iowa one, but I probably never will. But I'm glad. Pretty much summation. I loved that state fair. It was a lot of fun, especially considering I didn't even know there was a plan to go to that state fair like a day before I went. I got told about it the night before, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." But and then the other thing, brothers been my brothers. Thank you, Johnny, for helping me out with this one. I went ahead and secured an Xbox Series X, and I guess I can kind of share my story about that one because John shared his PS5 story, and we kind of went through the same route. So the way John helped me was he pretty much gave me his pro membership, and I went ahead and logged into his account because there's going to be a GameStop drop, like a GameStop Pro membership drop. And now, if you guys remember, John actually got into the queue early. So it was supposed to open at like turn of the hour, and it opened up like 3 minutes, something like that, early for John.
Yeah, it was like 9:57. It was supposed to open at 10.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there like, okay, this is like it could potentially open early. So I'm sitting there like refreshing the page like constantly, like 5 minutes before the page opens. And lo and behold, like the queue didn't even open for some reason until 15 minutes after the turn of the hour. So I was sitting there just like aping the fucking mouse button, just clicking refresh over and over again, like just drooling and shit, like just
like, slowly losing hope.
Yeah, slowly losing hope. Like just my mind is just set to one thing, just refreshing this fucking page and waiting for that gray icon to turn red. So like,
order now.
Yeah, but if anyone, this is a little tip I learned from doing this. If you want to get a console, right? Best chance obviously is going to be those drops that are scheduled, but also follow this guy named Matt Swider on Twitter, because this guy exclusively only tweets on Series X and PS5 restocks. And this is the thing that really helped me out a lot, because if I wasn't keyed into this, I would have lost hope, like, you know, before the 8:15 or whatever when it opened up. If it's a scheduled drop, he does a live stream, and he'll like be on that live stream like doing it himself, and he'll like notify you like, okay, I finally got in. And when he gets in, that's usually when it opens up. So right around when it opened up for him, I got in as well. And he was also talking about how like this is really normal when a drop happens or a restock happens. It's usually it opens up in waves, or it doesn't open up right away. So if you're out there and you're trying to get an next gen console, you know, I would say honestly stick around for that 30-minute block of when it's supposed to restock, because you have a chance. So I went ahead and was able to cop it. It's on its way. It's coming on the 13th of October, which is Wednesday. Now you guys might be asking, why you have a next gen console? You have a PS5. Why would you get a Series X? Because I'm a whore.
Because stuff doesn't need to make sense. Money go bye. Money come in, money go out. It's all good.
Yes, exactly.
No, in reality though, I was like, we've talked about this before. I love having like the newest tech. I kind of alluded to it literally like a show ago, not knowing I would be getting it by the next show, that I got my 13 Pro, I got my PS5, and I got the Series X. Now I want to get like AirPods Pros, and I'm kind of being a little stringent, or not stringent, a little crazy with my spending, because I know currently my finances are in a good spot, and I'm going to be going back to school in the spring. And from there on out for the next probably few years, I don't know what my finances are going to look like. So I know my finances are good right now. So I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to get the things that Series X, to be honest, yeah, there's not that much of a reason to have it right now. But in a year or two down the line, when those Bethesda exclusives start coming out, I think there will be. And who knows how Halo Infinite will come out to be. So I'm also keeping my eye on that. But yeah, but there you go. I have a Series X, or I'm going to be getting a Series X. Thank you, Johnny. Give you kisses from here. Mwah, mwah. But that's my week. Sorry I went on for fucking ever. John, how was your week?
So we also caught up on the James Bond films. We had a nice little marathon of them. We started off Sunday watching Quantum of Solace. Almost fell asleep. And then, you know, we watched Skyfall, Spectre, and then got to see No Time to Die on Thursday night. And then Friday was actually Casey's birthday. So we also went to Junk Stock. It actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't too windy. So we didn't get a lot of dirt in our eyes and in our mouth and in our food. Like we were actually kind of, we were kind of
detailed description. What the fuck?
Bro, it's like every time you go there's like 50-mile-an-hour winds and it's so dusty. But no,
it's literally on sand, dude.
Is it sand?
Yes, it's just sand.
What was the farm? Like, what did they grow? Cacti? What did they grow in the sand?
I think the whole thing's just a money laundering scheme. I don't think they farm anything there.
Sicko Mode Farms.
Oh, he name dropped
Sicko Mode Farm.
Sicko Mode Farms. Yeah, but that was a lot of fun. We went out to a nice dinner at Charleston's. My steak was actually underdone, so that kind of sucked.
I had to be underdone. Is underdone just?
No, I did.
What are we talking about here?
It was like purple, bro. It was like I had one. No, and I'm not one to like send.
Well, what do you order it at? Do you order it at like rare?
No, I ordered it like medium rare, like how people would order a steak. Yeah, good, know? Yeah. So I ordered it mid rare, but it came back and it was like that's how they say it in like cooking
Charles
shows.
Mid.
It came back mid.
It came back mid. Yes, it wasn't even, dude. It was like, okay, so I took the first bite, and it was so chewy, and the middle was like a little cold, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely not cooked all the way, and I'm going to get sick if I eat this. So unfortunately, I had to send it back, but they brought it back, and I was like, honestly, can you just like up it to like a medium temperature, medium cook? And they brought it back, and it was like a perfect medium rare. So I guess if you go to Charleston's in Omaha, just ask for a temperature higher than you actually want on your steak. But besides that fiasco, sending back a steak, I hate doing shit like that. Besides that, it was a really good birthday for Casey, I think, and it was really fun for me too. We kept the week pretty chill for the most part, and the weekend too. But Friday night, we decided to finally announce, and I'm going to finally announce on the ControllerCast that we're having a baby. So that's insane. Didn't really didn't totally plan it. Obviously, didn't not plan it. But we're super blessed and we're super excited. And the due date's going to be beginning of May. We think May 5th or May 6th right now. So we might have like
May the 4th.
May the 4th. Maybe it'll be like a Star Wars birthday. I don't know. Star Wars Day birthday. But either way, we might be, I don't know, on an extended break around that time. Maybe we'll have like a season 1 cutoff of the ControllerCast podcast and bring it back up after that. We haven't really talked about it.
What are you going to name it?
Yeah.
Disclaim, or what is it?
Redacted wood. Yeah, we're William Eyelash. No, we're still trying to think of names. William. No, definitely not William. Definitely not William. So I'll say that. But besides that huge announcement, we announced it with my dog, with a little book and the pictures of the sonogram, and the book said like how to be a big brother. And then Casey had a picture, my wife with our dog, like looking up in her belly. So I thought it was a pretty cute announcement. If you want to check it out, I mean, it's on my Instagram at Johnny B. Wood with a B. And then it's on Facebook too. But I don't know, maybe we'll have to post something on our official Instagram about the baby, or we never did the wedding. So
yeah, true.
Might have to do a catch-all. Maybe we can do a little like
end of year memories
collage. Yeah, for all of us.
An homage.
But besides that, homage of the collage homage to the year. I don't I don't know if there's a whole lot else to talk about.
I mean, that's a lot right there.
Pretty much it. Well, obviously, Andrew and I hung out last night and watched Nebraska lose. We already talked about that.
Hey, Bama lost, that was kind of lame. That was lit.
Yeah, exactly. Alabama, number 1 Alabama loss. We love seeing that because that happens like once every other year. But yeah, it was a pretty good week. The biggest thing was announcing our baby was coming. We have been waiting and so excited to announce that. We actually should know the gender in just a couple weeks too. And I know a lot of people do like gender reveal parties. Some start forest fires that last an entire summer because of their gender reveal parties. I don't think we're going to be doing anything like that. I think we honestly, we just want to know. And then we're going to probably tell people. I don't know. We haven't really talked like,
oh, I know how this is going to go
about it.
I know you're going to be like, oh, I just want to know it. And then you find out, and then you're going to have your kid, and then you're like, oh, we got to have another one so we can have a gender reveal party finally.
No, oh, maybe.
I feel like I missed out on the gender reveal hype.
Ugh. Maybe
gender reveal hype.
Maybe, I don't know. Everyone does it, but at the same time, we just had a wedding and that was a really big event. And I don't know if I'm trying to bring a bunch of people together again, because COVID's still a thing, regardless of if people act like it doesn't exist anymore. I think it's still probably better not to get big groups together and stuff. But besides that, it's just a lot of effort too.
Oh, I have an idea. What? You should just not tell anybody what it is and then name it like a gender neutral name and then just have like everybody just guess until the kid's old enough that you can tell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get too political, but I don't think we're going to do that.
Okay.
But yeah. But that pretty much sums up my week. I think that was pretty much it. So I guess we could get on into the current events.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like a pretty exciting how's our week then segment. But yeah, let's just get right into the current events. I've got a few different things. Got a little more to talk about than the previous weeks, which were kind of dead. Let's start off with this one real quick. So Rockstar announces a new GTA release, not GTA 6, but it is the GTA Trilogy, which is pretty much they're going to release Grand Theft Auto 3 in, for celebrating its like 20th anniversary, Vice City and San Andreas on every console, pretty much everything known to man. And there's going to be some updates. They said they're going to try to have modern gameplay improvements and things like that. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Are you guys excited? Are you going to be getting it maybe to play it on like Switch or PS5? What do you guys want out of a re-release of these Grand Theft Auto games? I don't think it's going to be full on remakes, but personally, for me, I just want them to make it so the controls don't feel like you're controlling a goddamn like bulldozer when you're running around and just trying to like play normally. Like the controls are terrible. Like I just want them to update that. Like if they can update that, I would be more than willing to go back to these games. Also, keep the music. I want them to try to find a way to relicense the music.
But they should be able to. They've made hundreds of millions off of GTA Online. They should be able to afford to license the music out.
Well, did you see that GTA 4 got an update like a year or two ago that like removed the music? Some of the music? Yeah.
That's an L, dude. Yeah. That sucks.
But yeah, Andrew, what were you thinking?
I'll probably end up I hope it runs good on Switch because I have all these games like on everything I own except the Switch, obviously. So it would be nice to have a Switch version as long as it runs good. The one thing I want, like, I agree the controls need to be updated, but for the love of God, can they implement the GTA 5 like mission sequence where like if you die you don't have to do the entire goddamn mission again? Because
like I checked
that's the thing that always holds me back from like beating the old games is that you get one shot. Like you have to do, there's no checkpoints, there's no like achievement objectives like in GTA 5, and like you like die at the very end, you have to do the whole thing over. It's extremely frustrating. So if they bring that system in, I'm sold. I'll probably end up actually beating those 3 games for the first time.
Yeah, like I could never beat any of those games because dude, there'd be missions that are first of all just hard because of like games.
I think of like San Andreas with the train, dude.
Yeah,
it's so frustrating. And in Vice City, I think this is more frustrating than the train is, even though the train's like more of like a mainstream issue. The RC helicopter levels are awful, dude. They're so hard to do. First of all, the controls are so outdated, it's impossible. It's so difficult, dude.
I remember after like GTA 5 had been out for a few years, I was like, you know what? I got my PS2, or like it might have been even on PS. It was on something like, and I was like, I'm gonna go back and replay San Andreas, and I remember, dude, the train mission like is so absurd. And first of all, that mission, there's missions in that game that are 30 minutes long, and if you lose at the end of them, you're going back to the fucking beginning of that mission. But that mission in particular, I was like, dude, am I doing this wrong? I was like Googling the shit, and on Google, so many pages and forums about like, CJ, all you have to do was keep up with the damn train.
Dude, and you know what the funny part is about that mission?
What?
I honestly, honest to God, and this is back when I started college and would like live stream it. I beat it the first try. That was the first time I ever did it, and I finished it. And I didn't know how. I was like, is this that hard? But then I tried playing it a second time. I think the second time I tried playing through San Andreas, it took me like 2 or 3 tries maybe. But like the first time, I was just like, I felt like John, like just so, is this supposed to be hard? Like,
what?
It's always funny for that. I always think it's like interesting in games when there's like a really notoriously hard sequence or like an easy sequence, but it's always fun to see like what sequences in games people think are hard and not. Like, when we were talking about The Last of Us, I thought at least fight sequence really hard, but you guys thought it was easy. But then like this, this train sequence you thought you did on your first try, and I was like wanting to smash my controller. But John, you were saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as someone that never has played the GTA stories, I'm probably gonna skip out on this one. Like, I like the old games. They feel okay, like, but I've only really played them on like PS2, and I don't remember it too well, like enough to like say if it played well. But I played them on my phone, and obviously that stinks. Even with a controller, I feel like it's not that great.
I remember GTA 3 on my iPhone.
And especially with like the fact that it's only a story mode, and I feel like the level of stuff you can do without doing the story, it's so low that as someone that's super casual with GTA, like I enjoy online and messing around with cheats and stuff. I feel like the level of being able to do that in the old games is just not there for me. And I don't understand why Rockstar is in my opinion, wasting their development time and dollars on something like this when these games have been released and re-released. Like, unless they're doing a remaster, what's the point? Unless they're changing something about it, I don't understand the point. And I don't understand what they would change. Yeah, they could probably change the controls, but haven't the controls kind of been the same since across all GTA games?
Not like in
does
the
it just feel like crap?
It just like feels like crap. The controls are like the same, but like the actual button inputs, I guess if we're going down to that, but like that if you like go back and try to play San Andreas now, like it feels so bad. Like Andrew can attest to it, like because Andrew,
it's awful, bro.
It's terrible.
Like the button inputs just don't match what the character
and the thing that messes
stuff.
me up is like GTA 4 started where you drive with the trigger buttons, but you drive with the X button in the old ones. So like every time I have to like readjust and like remember, I have to like be like, God damn it, which one am I supposed to hit now? So I don't like accidentally jump out of the moving car instead of, stop the moving car.
It's also the best comparison is like John for you probably is like think about something like Destruction All Stars and Rocket League. Those games kind of have like similar controls, trigger, like basic, but the feel, like the actual feel of moving those cars around is like vastly different between both of the games.
Right.
That's probably like the best way to describe it. Like it just feels
clunky.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And I'm gonna say, bro, Bully, go play fucking Bully. Bring back Bully, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, bring back Bully. What the heck?
Bully.
Or make Bully 2. What is Rockstar doing anymore? Like seriously, they have to be. I was gonna say they have to be because there's only so much you can do with GTA Online, and they've released Red Dead 2 in 2018?
Yeah, what they did after 5 was they can like consolidated and like brought everyone together. So like Red Dead 2 was like the first game where like every Rockstar studio made it, and that still took 5 years. So it's like, yeah, we're probably not getting GTA 6 is not gonna come and if Red Dead came out in 2018, it's like at the minimum give that 5 years. So 2023 is GTA 6. So they're probably trying to fill the gap with this sort of shit. But yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But
I hope it's polished enough that like it's enjoyable to play and that you can get past those hard levels that are like, I hate those levels in old games that are hard just because the way it feels sucks, or like you only have one split second to press something or grab onto something, or you're gonna fail the level.
Yeah,
like the
that was
old
the
Mario
worst part.
games and stuff. Like that's
Yeah,
shitty.
that was
But
the
I hope
worst
they
part
fix
about
that
it.
stuff.
I had to, okay, before they actually announced that it was coming out like this year, I was like, I was really, really bad feeling that you're only going to get it if you buy the next gen GTA 5. Like it's like a pre-order bonus or some shit. I had a really bad feeling about that. But apparently we're not getting bamboozled. But one company we are getting bamboozled by.
Yes. So let's talk about getting bamboozled. This is gonna be a fun topic. But okay, so this is a very recent development because of yesterday. So pretty much people on like Twitter sleuths and gaming websites were they're seeing some like quick, I think, screen caps or screenshots of like what the map setup was going to be for the upcoming Pokemon Legends game. And people were like, that looks kind of like hub based. Like, is this actually an open world game? So there was like questions about it throughout this like week. And I guess maybe for some people even before that. So then finally, like Kotaku reached out to them and it was like, hey, is this game, is this actually open world or not? And they're like, and they pretty much like clarified, no, it's not an open world game. It's gonna be like there's gonna be like a central hub where you like talk to people, talk to like vendors, get quests, things like that, and then you go out into like hub areas to do missions. I don't think there's a problem with that in particular. A game I play a lot of does that exact same thing, Destiny 2. That's probably the best example for you guys, John. And
yeah, I was
Andrew,
gonna say, I feel like this isn't a huge deal, but they also really led us to believe it was gonna be like Breath of the Wild, but Pokemon.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I want to clarify, like, so I wanted to just talk about this, like, do we feel like there was some misleading marketing with this? Like, because, like I said, I don't have an issue with this setup for games because I think it works totally fine for, like, I think it's like works great for like Destiny or something. But I was expecting Breath of the Wild, not Pokemon Destiny. So Andrew, you're the household Nintendo guy here. How about you start us off, and then we can kind of go back and forth. Talk to us about what you're the big Pokemon guy too. So talk to us.
Anytime Game Freak is involved with anything, I tend to look at it and kind of try not to throw up all over myself because I am not a Game Freak fan, and I feel like, I mean, this is a game where I want to see where it ends up. Like, I'm going to wait for reviews to make my judgment on how this works. Because, like, if they do this and it works, that's cool. Like, if it's like, I don't know. I feel like it could be like where you have this central hub, but once you get done with the story, you just do whatever. I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts.
From what I gather, you don't go out into those, like, you go out into those areas like by selecting a mission. Like, you're going into those areas with like, because that's how like Monster Hunter works too, which people have been comparing it to. It's like you go into those areas once you select a mission from the main area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I'll probably still end up getting it unless it gets like a 5 out of 10 or some like dog shit score or something.
Here's my thing. I just feel like the graphics and for what they look like, I would have expected it to be a fully open world game. Like, I feel like what we've seen of the visuals and the graphics looks a little bit muted, but I was like, okay, this could be okay if, if it's pushing the Switch to its absolute limit and it's like, this big open world. It looked like it. The last trailer we saw, I feel like, you saw mountains in the distance and it almost led you to believe that you'd be able to go there. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't see it. And obviously it's not going to be like that. It's probably just going to be a scenic view. It's like, you can't get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I wanted to ask I want to ask like two specific questions. I guess I'll give my input first. My questions I want to ask you guys were like, one, do you feel like you were misled with the marketing, with like how they were setting up the trailers? And then two, where is your heat level, the heat check? Where are we sitting at right now after this for Pokemon Legends? Like, where's our hype level? I'll share first. I definitely feel like there's some misleading marketing because the way the trailers are set, dude, there's like so many pictures about, oh my God, this shot, like this trailer, like, and this shot is like literally from the Breath of the Wild, like trailer, like they recreated it so well, like, and then like there's gliding around and all this stuff. Like, I feel like they knew exactly what they're doing by like trying to create the like parallels between Breath of the Wild and this. I feel like it's kind of strange that this game has been being marketed for like 6 to 8 months now, and now we're getting closer to launch, and now we're hearing that it's not open world. Because I feel like that's something you should clarify when the game is first announced and everyone is thinking your game is open world. But
yeah, why keep something?
We got Mario Odyssey, bro. We got Mario Odyssey again.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say for my like heat level, my heat check for Pokemon Legends, I am kind of I'm definitely deflated because I wanted to come into Pokemon as a newcomer. Pretty much, I played like some of the older ones, like on Game Point stuff, but like I wanted to come in as like refreshed with like really thinking that this was going to be like a new starting point for Pokemon as a series, and really being able to jump into Pokemon. I'm still gonna wait to see what it's like, but for me, as someone has never really been that much into Pokemon, like I'm kind of a little hesitant because I'm like, oh, this isn't that big refresh that I was thinking it might be, you know, that's really going to bring in newcomers. It feels more like something like Monster Hunter, which I played Monster Hunter. And to be honest, I was not a fan of Monster Hunter, but I am a big fan of Destiny. So who knows, that formula could work. I will be waiting for first impressions from reviewers and what the consensus is when it launches to see what people think. But right now, my hype has definitely died down. I'm definitely neutral now. What about you, Andrew? Hype level, and then also, do you feel like the marketing was misleading?
Hype level is still there. I mean, I'm gonna get it either way, unless it really sucks. But I mean, anytime Game Freak is involved, I get nervous now, and I feel
like, would you buy it if it's mid?
If it gets. The only time I will not buy it is if the score, like the Metacritic, is like under 50.
So you would get it if the Metacritic was like 63.
Maybe. I mean, I don't see a way it would come in that low. But I mean, because goddamn it, fucking Sword and Shield are like the worst, and I think they still have like a 75, like on Metacritic. I mean,
so that's like the lower bounds.
I don't know. I mean,
you're also, I guess, you're a big Pokemon guy.
Yeah. That's like my game franchise. I mean, not like my favorite of all time because it'd probably still be like Mario, but I mean, kind of like my side gig, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty excited for it. I'm just kind of hoping like I want the pre-order bonuses that like Japan's getting and Europe, but not looking very good on that end. It'd be nice though.
Do you feel like the marketing was misleading? Do you feel misled? Because I feel like we all thought it was open world.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wish it was like Breath of the Wild, but I mean, I don't. If they can do that like hub world, like central hub, like Destiny and Monster Hunter, and do it right, I don't care. Like as long as the game's good. Like if you can make a good game, I don't really care how it's set up. Because like the way I would thought like Odyssey would go was like Breath of the Wild, right? And I mean, I think even with their like kind of like the way they ended up actually doing it, still was like fine.
Odyssey's still
like because Odyssey was a good game. So like even if it wasn't like open world like Breath of the Wild, I still thought it was good. So I think it's more the execution more than the setup. Like you can set it up a certain way. Like this game could be open world like Breath of the Wild and completely suck shit, and it wouldn't matter because in the game, the design of the map and the game setup wouldn't matter because the game just sucks. But if you make it kind of like more linear and like have a hub world and make it good, then I think it doesn't matter how you set it up. You made a good game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, anything that gets away from the traditional mainstay, the main series is the linearity is very welcome.
Yeah. I also want to clarify. Yeah, it's all about execution at the end of the day. I just worry about the execution because it's Game Freaks. But
yeah,
John,
but my worry about the one last thing.
Yeah.
My worry about the execution is not more on the way the game's set up. It's just more like the actual like the animations in the game. Because go on YouTube and type in like sword and shield animations, and you might like die laughing. Like you think you were looking at like a fucking PS1 game. It's so bad.
Ugh.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I really want to like Pokemon. I really want to get into Pokemon. And I still think that this game could be good, but I do feel a little bit misled. I mean, why is it when it comes to anything surrounding Nintendo, whether that be Game Freak or another developer, no one can get the open world thing right, except for the developers of Breath of the Wild. I mean, even the Hyrule Warriors game is like a hub-based it's not open world. It's just like a hub-based game, very similar to those. And I don't understand why it's so hard for these developers to do what like The Legend of Zelda did. They've had plenty of time to develop over this like Switch's life cycle. Like, when do you think that Sword and Shield started development? It was probably before the Switch came out.
Definitely,
I would guess.
At least I would think so. When did it come out, Andrew? 2019?
Yes, they did. But I think the last 3DS ones came out after the Switch was already out.
I just feel like with like this being the first, I don't know. Like in the marketing, it seemed like it was going to be like a total like rehash of the traditional Pokemon formula. And now that it's more like hub based, I feel like it might still feel like classic Pokemon, which might be good for old fans. But as someone that wanted to get into it and that is not a big fan of old Pokemon games, I was kind of hoping for like this big open world experience with it. Obviously I'm like, I mean, it could still be great. I don't know. But I don't know what to expect because the marketing has been so misleading. And the fact that like this had to come out the way it did. I mean, it didn't come out in a trailer. It didn't come out with like gameplay or anything. I just don't get it. I don't understand like what direction they're going, but obviously it could be really good when it comes out.
It kind of makes me curious, like if they were kind of the way they kind of mentioned it in this like reply email to an outlet, like if they kind of wanted to like slide under the radar, that it's not like actually open world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like why not get that out in the open right away? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to hide it, it makes it seem like they didn't want it to be that way.
To be fair, it was on their website. Like that's where people got it from.
The hub-based gameplay.
Yeah, because like it says, like I have the website pulled up and it looks the same as when they did the last trailer. And it says, whenever you leave Jubilife Village is set on an excursion, your first stop will be one of the base camps that serve as an outpost.
Yeah, but I still feel like that doesn't.
Yeah, like, that wording is kind of like that could be an open world setting too. I feel like,
I mean, but to be fair, God of War is like that, where it's not a true open world. It's like kind of a hub into levels. Who knows? It's Game Freak. I'm not gonna. They haven't really proved themselves with anything. They haven't put out anything that's like a masterpiece, in my opinion.
I'm just kind of hyped that the trainer can like get its ass beat by a Pokemon. Like the humans can actually like fight a fucking Pokemon now. That's hype.
That's pretty cool. And honestly, I would love to get into it. I would love to sink my teeth into 100 hours of a Pokemon game if it was interesting enough, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious, like think about all of Nintendo's other companies or development studios, like they get as much time as they want to make a game. And it's like, why is Game Freak doing this like 2-year turnaround PS3 era like development? No, like you don't see any game studio doing 2-year development times anymore because it's just not feasible for like like game
quality, normal.
And like,
normal
I want to know when they
big
started
AAA
developing.
games.
I want to know when they started developing this, because I feel like maybe if I knew they were developing an open world game at the same time, maybe I can excuse how shitty Sword and Shield are, maybe. But I really am curious at how long they've actually had this in the works, because they ended up giving the Diamond and Pearl remakes to a different company. Like they shipped it off to the studio that did the Link's Awakening remake.
Interesting. So do you think the development time hasn't been 2 years, or you think it's been longer?
I think it's been longer. I don't see how they made Sword, like, because the games that have come out since the Switch came out have not been good. Like, the last 3DS ones were not good, and same with they were basically just the Sun and Moon, but just like barely enhanced. Like, they just added one new thing to it. So I mean, I don't know. I'm curious to see how long they've been developing it. I hope they tell us, because I'm kind of curious now.
But fingers crossed.
Yeah,
fingers crossed. Here's hoping for the best. Spring 2022 is going to be crazy for gaming in general. So we'll be But moving on. Let's talk about a quick little announcement. Confirmed the new Nolan film. It's going to be coming out July 2023. It's good. I don't know if maybe when we were talking about what we want next from Nolan, if this is what at least I would have predicted. But actually, I am happy that maybe he is going this route, because I wanted him to kind of bring it back down to basics a little. But he's doing an autobiography on Oppenheimer, which was kind of like this dude was kind of like the architect of the atomic bomb in World War II. And Oppenheimer is going to be played by Cillian Murphy, who has been in a bunch of other Nolan films. He's also popular for Peaky Blinders. And the other stuff like Hoyt van Hoytema, which is the director of photography, he's coming back. He was on Tenet, all the other stuff, or like up Interstellar through Tenet. Ludwig Göransson is coming back from Tenet, so looks like he's keeping like a lot of the big names from Tenet in terms of production. But what do you guys think about Nolan doing an autobiography on Oppenheimer? I am actually curious, because I feel like this is a new avenue for Nolan. Like, and I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm going to ask you guys, obviously, what are your general thoughts? But could you see this having like some crazy Nolan twist on things? Or do you think it's going to be a more by the numbers autobiography? I think it probably will be a by the numbers autobiography, but I don't know. Who knows? But I'm excited to see how Nolan handles something more ground level than something like crazy like Tenet or Interstellar or something like that. Like taking it back to something on the level like Prestige, which is just like a drama, What about you, John?
First off, I'm not surprised at all that he's bringing back a lot of his old resources for this movie. That's kind of like Nolan's thing. And I think a lot of good directors do that, where they kind of have the similar actors, similar, composers for their music and sound and stuff. So I like the choices that Nolan's going with. I'm sure it'll be amazing. Like every other Nolan film, I haven't seen a bad one. Also, I've not seen every single Nolan film, but damn near close. I think I haven't seen Dunkirk or Memento. But I believe I've seen every other film. But I'm really excited for this one. I think it's interesting that they announced a possible release time so early. I feel like they could have just said in general, like summer 2023. I don't know why people announce movie release dates so soon like that, but I guess Marvel does the same thing. I mean, and they're the biggest to do it right now. So
Nolan is his own fucking franchise at this point.
Literally the Nolan verse.
Yeah.
The Nolan verse of films. I don't know. I'd like to, I think it's easy to say that it's probably going to be like a pretty straightforward biography, and it very well could be, and it's just super well done, like A Beautiful Mind kind of thing, like that kind of style. But it's Nolan. It's Nolan, so there's gonna be something ridiculous and crazy in it, whether that be him actually detonating a real atomic bomb and recording it with a 40K cinematic camera. I don't know. I would not be surprised at all. I really wouldn't. And if that's the craziest thing, maybe that would be it. But it's Nolan. There's got to be some crazy shit. Maybe not like Dunkirk. A twist, but yeah, maybe not like a twist or anything, but just something very, very large scale, larger than life.
Even Dunkirk, which is like based on like a real life event, like that's not told in a quote unquote normal way. John, whenever, like, I'm not going to spoil it for you, like how it's presented, but it's in a very Nolan way, like how the story is told. Like, but so I'm curious if you'll find a way to do something like that. I've obviously, if you've seen Dunkirk, you know what I'm talking about. But Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like he's trying to just like hit every box now. He's like going like, you know, these time
hit the James Bond quota.
Yeah, he's trying to now go into like a biographical movie. I mean, I saw Dunkirk. I like how he handles like events where you can't really like fantasize too much. I mean, I think it has potential. I'm really interested just because I like his directing style in general. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the cinematography is always on point with him. So, I mean, I think it has those two going for him for sure. I mean, it remains yet to be seen if he wipes out humanity for his directed vision. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm interested for sure. Yeah. And it's interesting having Cillian Murphy as the lead actor. I think he did a good job. I mean, I remember him mostly from Inception. Yeah. But I think he did a really good job there, and he's a good actor. So I could see it being a good movie. I mean, it's Nolan. I mean, the worst it could be is like, you know, a bad Nolan movie is probably better than a lot of directors' best movies. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm kind of curious, like knowing Nolan, like from Tenet, like he can make scenes of people just talking, just intense as fuck. So I want to like, I'm curious to see how intense he could just make an autobiography. Like, but anyways, that's our like thoughts on the Nolan announcement. But I'm gonna pass it off to you guys for this one. Go ahead and talk about Star Wars Visions. I'm off of this one. It's you guys.
Yeah,
you watch it, Arsenal?
No, I haven't yet. So it's you guys.
You haven't watched any of it yet?
Mm-mm.
You haven't even seen episode 1? Oh,
I literally.
No, Arsenal's backlog is growing. No, he's slipping. Yeah, he's slipping into the trench.
Yes,
I would say
sell me on it. View it as that. Sell me on it. Explain it to a newbie like me. You guys talk about it.
I mean, shoot, to start us off, I would definitely recommend it to anyone that's a Star Wars fan. I don't know if it's like it. Maybe Andrew, you might know, but I don't know if it's officially canon or not. But it definitely could be. I mean, the Star Wars universe is so big. Okay. I mean, the Star Wars universe and the world building they do, it's so huge, and this lends itself very well to that. And if you like just the Star Wars universe in general, and you like seeing more of that, if you like lightsaber battles, you're gonna love this show. I mean, for me, like, I think that it's not anything super groundbreaking in my opinion. Some of the artwork, in my opinion, is a little bit bleh. Some of it's really, really good, but some of it doesn't hit as well as I think it could. But I like the fact that they do like a different story for each episode, because I thought it would be, you know, kind of this continuation of stuff leading up to one big event, and it'd be, you know, 9 episodes all relating to each other, but it isn't like that. And I don't think that's a spoiler either. But I think that probably half of them are like bangers and the other half are okay. Like,
yeah,
if I
that's
were to
my
give the
problem
show,
with it is there's very, very good episodes, and then there's just like meh episodes. And
yeah, the meh episodes are very meh.
Yeah, they're very mid. But like, like the one, and it's like, I don't know if it's dumb, like bad on the show, but like the first episode is high key the best episode out of all of them. It's like the most badass for sure. Like,
between the art style and the story,
dude, it's so good.
Like, this chick, the main antagonist in the first episode, has this badass, like,
it's an umbrella. It's like an umbrella without the actual like fabric on it, and it's a fucking umbrella lightsaber. It's like the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in Star Wars.
And she like spins it, and it's like
yeah,
the coolest. It looks like an umbrella, but made out of lightsaber.
It's fucking insane, and it's a lightsaber battle between two sides that we've never seen fight each other before, without going into spoilers.
Yes, exactly.
It's very, very interesting.
And then there's there's a Revenge of the Sith kind of episode too.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting because the first episode, the antagonist has like a lightsaber we've never seen, which is like the first episode of actual Star Wars, the movies. And the third episode has this badass battle between basically siblings, and that's episode 3 of like the movies. I feel like they kind of tried to do parallels here and there. They definitely call back to certain, you know, settings and areas from, you know, the Star Wars movies, and I like that. I don't know, I think there's even a pod racing episode, or there's an episode that like relates to that. But if I were to give like the series as a whole a rating though, I'd probably give it like a 7. It's good.
That's what I'd give it to. I just think like there's too many. There like having a half and half split is good for like bangers and like kind of like mid, but like I mean that's not gonna make my score very high. I like the idea of having like a different studio do each episode. Like I think that's really cool, and I'm glad to see that they can make stories that have no relation to the Skywalker saga actually be interesting. And it's like I almost feel like I liked it more just because it's like a nice like okay, like we can rest now. There's no relation to like the Skywalker saga in any of these episodes, and it's awesome.
I agree. Yeah, and
I mean the closest
Skywalker stuff. That's why it was so nice, because it was refreshing.
Yeah, the closest thing you have to the Skywalker saga is just the Empire, which is like not obviously if it's like a thing that overarches the whole galaxy, it's not exclusively a Skywalker thing. But it's very refreshing, and I liked because I think either the people that do the episodes or the place that does the intro for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is the one who animated the first episode, and it's like probably the best one out of all of them. It's such a banger. Like if
that does kind of suck though that the first one is the best, because it is kind of like a downhill from there.
Yeah, the 7th one is also extremely good. I really like the 7th one too, but
I like the 3rd one a lot too. The odd numbers.
Yeah, if you gotta watch any, at least watch the first episode. Like the first episode is so fucking cool.
But I do recommend it to any Star Wars fan, because even a 7 out of 10 for me with the series as a whole, that's probably an average Star Wars score anyway.
Yeah,
so you're gonna enjoy
it. The longest episode is only like 22 minutes, so like they're really short episodes. So I mean, you can cook through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can cook through the entire series in probably 2.5 hours at the max.
Yeah.
So like a Star Wars like film length.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it.
Yeah, well, I'll probably watch the first episode then if it's being that hyped up, like right after we're finished recording then.
Yeah,
I think it's
I want to talk about it with you, so I feel like you would really like it.
Yeah, maybe we could circle back around. Like I can give my thoughts next week, because I want to watch it. It's not that I don't want to watch it. It's just I haven't had the opportunity to this week.
And you have to watch What If. What If?
yes.
What If?
Yes, I will watch What If very soon, or like this week. I will definitely watch it. That's not even a question. But that's it for the current events. From there, we will go ahead and get on to the main topic. All right, so for our main topic, we are talking about the brand new 007 film, the final Danny Craig film in his tenure, No Time to Die. So this is how we're going to do it, just because it's such a brand new film. We're going to give our thoughts on the previous films in between this and Casino Royale. General thoughts, not going to go too in depth. Kind of give our scores on those and whatever. And then we'll kind of give our general thoughts from there. And that's going to be like the non-spoiler. If you want to just know what is our general thoughts about this movie without spoiling anything about it, that's where you want to tune in for that. And then from there, afterwards, we're going to spoil the shit out of it. We're going to go in depth and we're going to really talk about specifics. So let's talk about just general thoughts of the movies in between this and Casino, because we didn't review them. But maybe one day we will, but who knows? Or have episodes dedicated to them. But I figured it's worth talking about them for context of this movie. So Quantum of Solace, as I hinted earlier, I'll start off. Quantum of Solace, I thought was a really not great follow-up to Casino Royale. I feel like it doesn't carry any of the plot points of that movie forward in a meaningful way. I think it's a terribly edited film. And it's really just about nothing. And the stakes are super low and boring. It's just about a water monopoly, which is dumb for a Bond film. And yeah, super general. I think that's probably still the worst, Daniel Craig film. I would probably give that like a 5.5. From there, Skyfall, which I have decided Skyfall is my favorite Daniel Craig film. I absolutely love this film. I just feel like it's just the ultimate, it's just like the quintessential Bond film. Like it's still got that grounded, like down to earth feel of Daniel Craig's Bond, but it's got that globe-trotting adventure. The plot is very straight to the point. It's a very like confident movie in its execution. The plot doesn't have a lot going on. It's a straightforward film. It knows the story it wants to tell, and it tells that story. The villain is amazing. The cinematography is amazing. The story is like more of a personal story about like him trying to protect M, which is almost like his mother at this point. And I think that's like the quintessential Bond film. And why I think it rises above Casino for me is like Casino doesn't stand alone as well because of the plot points it wants to extend to like Quantum of Solace and things, and I don't think that does Casino favors. So like I said, I think Casino is like a 9, but I'm going to give Skyfall like a 9.5. The only thing that I'd probably knock against it, and also it has the best Bond song, and the only thing I'd knock against it is it kind of takes some plot points from The Dark Knight, which felt a little unoriginal to me, like the whole villain getting captured and he wanted to get captured thing. That was like probably the only thing I can really put against it. But to me, that is the quintessential Bond film. Skyfall, 9.5 for me. From there, Spectre, which I thought was kind of a downgrade from Skyfall, which is a shame because it has the exact same production team, same writers, same everything as Skyfall, same director. I thought the first half of that movie was really, really good, really great. Actually, I was ready for it to be better than Skyfall. But then I think the second half of the film really loses steam. I thought it kind of just ends. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the stakes in the plot have to do with stuff not relating to Bond. I think the villain is like so completely underutilized. And I think that the twist about his connection to Bond is completely stupid. Like, it's just dumb. Like, it's like, I'm pretty sure like people have talked about how like Austin Powers has literally joked about how that's like a plot point that would be like they've parodied, like, how Austin Powers is supposed to parody James Bond. And that's literally a plot point from an Austin Powers movie. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Oh God.
And then I think the ending sucks. And I don't love the Bond girl. But also I just want to share the scene. I actually saw a scene of Spectre being shot in real life. Jesus, I'm about to choke on my own spit. I saw the scene at the end of the film where James Bond is chasing the helicopter. Because I was on I was on the River Thames and I saw that scene being shot, and I joked about it when I saw it, being like, "Oh, that's James Bond being filmed." And then lo and behold, the next day I woke up and I was looking at like Twitter, like news site or something, and it was like the title was literally Bond film or Spectre scene being shot on the River Thames like last night or whatever. I was like, holy shit! Like, so that was super awesome.
That's hilarious.
Also, I gotta say, my two favorite scenes. I just want to throw out my favorite scenes. I love the Shanghai like assassination scene in Skyfall, like one of my probably top 10 favorite scenes in any movie. I love it. It's beautiful. I also love the villain introduction in Spectre. That meeting is super like ominous and awesome. And I also love the Mexico opening scene. I just want to point those scenes out. But Skyfall 9.5, Quantum 5.5, and Spectre, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. But those are my thoughts of those films. Andrew, I know you didn't watch Quantum, but what are your thoughts on Skyfall and Spectre? Like, what would you rate them and things like that?
Yeah, even after watching this movie, I still think I think Skyfall is still my favorite. I mean, being like a cinematography whore, like that Shanghai scene is just like,
yeah.
There's so many just like good, and even in Spectre, there's so many good like shots. Like,
yeah,
it's like the one shot opening scene from Spectre is fucking awesome, and like the Shanghai scene from Skyfall, and even like when they're out, I don't remember what the place is. It's a cold, icy place at the end of the movie. I can't remember.
Skyfall. It's called Skyfall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's called Skyfall.
But like even then, like the cinematography is just fantastic in all of them. And I mean, I would give Skyfall probably a 9.5 as well. I think it's an extremely good movie, and I think Spectre I maybe give like an 8, just because the first part is really like the first half of the movie is really good. The second half, like you said, just kind of like it kind of drags, and like the whole Blofeld to Bond connection is just dumb as hell. it's just like I don't know. I think it's a dumb like the villain's just dumb, and it's just like you never find out what happens with the Spectre program. It just ends like it just ends, and then like that's it. Like that asshole just fell like 3 stories, died, and then like that's it. And then I mean now that I've seen this movie, I see how it connected in, but upon a first watch, I was just like, man, the second half of this movie just dumb as fuck. But
I want to ask you guys something about Spectre real quick. This scene never made sense to me when I first saw it, and I didn't make sense to me now. But remember that scene where he's in the headquarters at the end, and like Blofeld shows that like footage of him killing his or like the dad shoots himself. And Bond is like, don't play that. Don't turn that off. Turn it off.
Turn it off.
Dude, oh, yeah.
I still do not get why he was like freaking out about it, like being like, turn it off.
I actually don't either.
I'm like, did you tell her that happened?
So I was wondering that too. And why, like, was it even that? I don't think it was that bad. Yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal. He shot himself. Yes, he pulled out the gun, but it wasn't, he didn't ask Mr. White to shoot himself.
Yeah, he was like, here's my gun. This is like my collateral. I will give you my weapon, and like I will do this. And then
basically
like,
James was like, shoot me.
Turn it off.
Yeah. I never got that when I saw the movie, and I didn't get it now either. I was like, what? Why is he freaking out about this?
I feel like that's kind of a plot hole. Yeah.
Yeah. But John, go ahead. So Andrew's 8 and 9.5. Me was 7, 6, 5.5, and 9.5.
Yeah, so are we ranking that? I guess we're kind of ranking them.
Well,
besides No Time to Die.
We'll save the ranking for the end. Like once we.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so to go from Casino Royale, which I still think is top tier Bond, Quantum of Solace. It seems promising, and it has, I feel like it has most aspects of a Bond film that you would want, but that's it. That's absolutely it. It doesn't have a plot that makes any sense. You don't give a shit about any of the characters at all. It's a very forgettable Bond movie. And honestly, the villain is so bad. He's so bad. But to be honest, like, I don't think any of the Bond movies really have that great of a villain except for Casino Royale. I love Le Chiffre. I love Le Chiffre, and I think he's the best Bond villain by far. I
I agree with you on that, but
the Dominique or whatever.
No. Go on, guy. Yeah, Dominic Green.
Yeah, Dominique in Quantum is so bad.
Yeah,
he's so like. He's just a bad actor, I think, too. Like, I just don't like him in that movie. I don't believe that he's a villain. And I don't believe that, like, him and Bond's fight, there's no way that he's such a weak little dude. He's, like, always wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He just doesn't look like a Bond villain to me. But Quantum is just bad. Okay at best. I feel like I'm being generous here. I'd probably give Quantum a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
But that would be my lowest rated Bond film easily. And then to go into Skyfall is amazing. I think it's probably the easiest and easiest plot to follow. Definitely the simplest plot of a James Bond film. And I like it for that. It's not over the top. It's not hard to follow. The stakes are very obvious. But I don't think that it has the best villain either. I think it kind of I'm blanking on his name right now. Silva.
Yeah.
I didn't love him as a villain. And
I
honestly, I felt like if anything, what I didn't like about him is I didn't think he was quite as fleshed out. And like I did like the initial scene of him where it's like him walking up and it's one shot. Like that's a great scene. But I mean, again, I don't know. It has bad sound mixing in this part. I should have watched it with subtitles because I feel like the volume kind of increases as he gets closer too. And it's and then like Bond villains always explain their entire thing and their entire backstory and everything about themselves in like a quick like minute blurb, like right when you first see them. And I hate that about Bond villains. So I think like Skyfall kind of suffers from the same Bond villain problems as all of the other movies besides Casino Royale. So besides that, I think it's a really well done film, really easy to follow. I like the plot. It's beautiful. Both Skyfall and Spectre especially could easily pass off as a movie that came out today. They look incredible. Skyfall's a 9 for me, which actually is the same score as Casino Royale. But again, I think what puts Casino Royale, if I were to, I still think it's the top for me just because like Le Chiffre is an amazing villain. It's got so many iconic scenes. I think more iconic scenes than Skyfall. And then Spectre, I would probably give an 8 out of 10. It starts off with a bang. I think it has the best intro scene. One of the best. I don't know. Dude's Casino Royale is so good. Its intro scene is really good too, but Spectre's probably
I think Spectre
at least tied with it. I would say it's either the best or tied with Casino for me. But it looks amazing. The helicopter shit flipping around is crazy. I love Spectre actually, except the villain again. And I think this is probably the second worst Bond villain besides Dominique. Like Blofeld is just not fleshed out at all. It's kind of the classic cop out. I'm the guy that's been behind the curtain the entire time.
Yeah.
Like we ran out of ideas, so here's a shoe in.
Literally, like they could have made it super badass. I feel like like the top of everyone, and like he's actually been behind it the whole time.
Yeah, I thought it was so cringy, like when he's like in the MI6 headquarters at the end and he's running through and he's seeing the photos of the villains at the end.
Yeah, like, and Le Chiffre.
Yeah.
The bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah,
I was like, man, they're doing Le Chiffre dirty.
Yeah. I was like, why? Like,
yeah. And like you said, the stupid scene where he's like showing the Mr. White dying, Madeline's dad. I was like, okay, like, turn it off, turn it off. It's like, why is he that upset? It doesn't make any sense. She literally knew, and he told her. Like, whatever. But besides like the movie falling apart in the last like 25 minutes, I think it's like it's one of the best Bond films before that last 25 minutes. But I still think it comes together enough. It makes sense in the end, I guess. It's not perfect, but it's definitely not like the best Bond film either. For me, it's probably middle of the pack, but I'd give Spectre an 8 out of 10. I still really like it. And I would say 80% of the movie, 8 out of 10, 80% of the movie is really, really good. And then that last 20% is just stinky.
Yeah, well, there you go. We have our scores and stuff. I also like put it down in our little document because not only are we going to do our own personal ranking, but we'll also end up getting the controller cast. What our aggregate creates, the ranking of like all the Daniel Craig films. So I have those written down. So let's finally get into No Time to Die. Let's start off with general thoughts. John, how about you start us off with general thoughts of No Time to Die? No spoilers, No spoilers, remember.
Without any spoilers, I think that this, like every other Bond film, I mean, it's got everything you'd want out of a Bond film. I think that the Daniel Craig films have really stuck to a good formula. And I don't think No Time to Die is any different. In that regard, I think it kind of sticks to the classic Bond formula. It's got, a really good opening. And it kind of follows the same pacing, where this one is the longest Bond film of any of them, by about 20 minutes, I believe. I don't think it feels like the longest, to be honest. It's still, again, it sticks to the same Bond formula. I think it's got a lot of good fan service to it. And I think without spoiling anything, if you're a true Bond fan, you're really gonna get a lot of good enjoyment out of this. And I think you're gonna like how they flesh out Daniel Craig's Bond, because this one feels the most human to me of any movie. Like, it makes James Bond feel the most human out of any of the Bond films. He doesn't feel like just a number in this one to me. But it is a bit long, and I think it does kind of struggle and have some of the same criticisms as every other Bond film. I think that the villain in this one is a little bit just not fleshed out enough. I think the ending, although without spoiling anything too much, it is ballsy. I think it also didn't need to go that direction either. But to keep it very general, I think if you're a big Bond fan, or even if you're not a huge Bond fan, I think this is a great, great action movie and a pretty damn good Bond film. But again, I think it kind of suffers from some of the things that every other Bond film suffers from. And I think the villain is a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. But also, I want to mention really quick that thing about, do the old Bond movies make all of the villains have like kind of messed up facial features? Because I see articles all the time about people like, oh, No Time to Die, or James Bond needs to stop with these problematic villains and the way they look and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like this is the first movie where the villain has like a messed up face. Like, Blofeld didn't have a messed up face in Spectre until the very, very end after the events of the film. And this is the first villain that has like kind of,
Silva did. Remember his like.
Are you forgetting the
Schiff? That's true.
And then the Schiff literally.
I mean, he has his eye, but it's not like, I don't know.
They all have some sort of facial deformity.
Dominique doesn't, though.
Yeah. Dominique is flawless. He's a flawless man.
He is. He's supposed to be like the hottest man in the movie. Like this swagger, got this swagger that not even James Bond can achieve. But enough about Quantum.
Fucking green.
Yeah, I think this suffers from some of the same issues as the other Bond films. But again, if you're a Bond aficionado, I think you're gonna love it. I really do. What about you, Andrew? What are your general thoughts without spoilers?
Yeah, in general, I think it was a long movie, but I feel like it paced itself really well. I didn't feel like it was almost 3 hours long while I was watching it. The things I really liked is the score. First off, Hans Zimmer, king. I want to shout out Hans Zimmer. I think the score is really good, and it really hits the emotional parts when it needs to. I also think the cinematography was top notch. Like all the forest scenes had great cinematography, especially the opening scene. It was fantastic cinematography that they did in that opening scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, John, the villain kind of suffers from like the Bond villain syndrome, where it's just not fleshed out and just kind of like a not great villain. Like I feel like Rami Malek played the part good. It was just the villain was just kind of dumb. Like his whole like just the way he like carried himself I thought it was very boring. And it wasn't like a very interesting, like it wasn't that interesting. He just wasn't an interesting villain, and it kind of stinks to be like the last one of the Craig series, and they just still couldn't achieve the sheaf status quo that was set in the first one. Like
they really couldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, in general, I think it's a good movie for anybody to watch. It's a very good. We'll get into the specific actiony parts because there are a lot of parts that I really liked. But Arsenal, what about you?
Yeah, so my thoughts on this film. I thought I was disappointed. And I'm excited. That's why I'm excited to talk about it, because I knew I was going to be the one that was probably lower on the totem pole for my opinions on this thing. I just think this movie I think it stuck the landing for a finale, but god damn it, was it like, to me, I thought it was like very messy on its way to the finish line. I mean, like Andrew said, this film is beautifully shot. So there's some amazing, like, that's one thing like I love about the Craig Bond films. They, on terms of a technical level, these films are amazing. From Skyfall to this film, like I have no complaints in terms of like how this movie was made technically. And like I said, kind of like what you said then too, John, it really comes down to my complaints are with the script of this film more than anything. Because cinematography and score are fantastic. I also think like Daniel Craig gives his best performance like of his Bond career. He feels so human in this film, and he has a lot of he gives like a really heart-wrenching performance in this film, and I really like it. In terms of cons, I did feel the length of this film. Sadly, it felt really long to me, and we'll get into that. I like we'll get into that. I just feel like, to me, I feel like the movie takes a long time to start, a really long time to get going, and then by the time it gets going, it's kind of confusing about what exactly the stakes are of the film. Like, I still don't know, and I'm gonna, like, we'll talk about it in spoilers, but like my general complaint, like, I don't even know what the stakes were for the film, besides like a more personal aspect of it. But like the bigger picture, I really don't understand people's motivations and things like that. Yeah, I think the film could have just been trimmed down. I think it could have been a lot more concise. And I think it could have taken like the Skyfall route, where it was like more of a simpler personal story about Bond, because I think the more personal aspects of this film are the saving grace of this movie. But it's kind of like, to me, this was like a middle of the road Daniel Craig film, which is fine. It's definitely not his peak in my opinion, but I thought it stuck the landing, and I thought it was a completely fine send to him. But I think it's interesting, this movie's reception, because I've seen people say they love this movie, and this movie is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It's their favorite Bond film. And then there's people who say that they absolutely hate this movie. And I'm somewhere in the middle of that. So that's my general thoughts of the film. I think it's somewhere middle of the road, but I think it's very kind of a messy film. But I think it sticks the landing. I think it's a good send off at the end of the day for Daniel Craig's Bond. So that's our general thoughts of No Time to Die. From there, we can go ahead and we're going to go into spoilers now. And this is where we're going to talk about specifics and try to delve into our opinions, like why we have these thoughts. And hopefully, yeah, maybe this will go see the movie. Definitely go see the movie, especially if you're a Bond fan.
Absolutely. I agree.
Also, one disclaimer I will say is, don't watch this movie if you have not seen Spectre. But
yes, do not.
Yeah,
watch Spectre first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into this bad boy. You guys ready? Let's spoil the shit out of this thing.
Let's do it.
Should we just start off with the big one? That Bond fucking
We might
dies?
as well. Bond dies.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
what the fuck?
Our man Daniel Craig as Bond, he does die. But there's a new 007. He's not 007 anymore.
Yeah, but
two of the big spoilers, but I think that was talked about before it came out, right?
Yeah,
that there'd be a new 007.
Yeah, but did you let's talk about Bond getting fucking murked. Like, because that's like what everyone's gonna be talking about when the movie comes out. Like, let's get right into it. Well, first of all, were we expecting this? Like, I'll say this: I definitely was not expecting it. I was like,
no, I was not. Has there ever been a Bond movie where he dies?
No fucking idea. I mean, I actually thought that with the title "No Time to Die," I kind of thought that he would die just because of the title. Like, to me, it suggested he would die, but he's fucking James Bond. Like, he has survived some of the craziest shit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like the way that he was sent off was, although it was emotional and it, like, I guess puts a cherry on top in the fact that he's gone. He's truly gone, and we don't have to sit there and wonder about the extra adventures he's going to go on. You know, he's dead. But the way that it all happened, like, he asked MI6 to relay the message for the CIA, essentially. I believe it was the CIA at the end of the day that sent the missiles to blow up the island so that this Heracles nanobot virus didn't get out. But he had time. Who else was there? The villain was there, but he had killed like 30 people on his way up the staircase to like call the missiles in to like destroy this island. And he didn't have to do it yet. He didn't need to call the missiles in yet. Like, he could have just waited. They even said like, oh, why don't we just wait? And the guy was like, no, Bond said, send it now. Did I miss something? Was there
there's another
really, like, high stakes for time?
Yeah,
there's kind of like another layer.
There was transport ships coming in to get the shipments. So they had to get it wiped out before those came, am I right?
Well, there's that also, but the other kind of like thing on top of that was like so fucking weird. He breaks the blood vial off of Safin, the villain. Yeah. And that blood vial is supposed to target Madeline's DNA. So it's like also like he can't be with his, like, even if he got off the island, he wouldn't be able to be with his family.
It's like his world is destroyed because of, which is one thing I will give the villain. Like, that is some real supervillain shit. Like, that is like overarching, like, god tier supervillain shit.
And he calls himself God, doesn't he? Or the Invisible God.
Yeah, he
literally calls himself the Invisible God.
Invisible God.
Safin. The Invisible God. I can't even like imitate his voice.
I know.
It's so unique.
Freddie Mercury's the fucking main villain of Bond. What a British way to fucking kill off James Bond. Freddie Mercury fucking murks him.
Well, talking about the like villain, like, I guess, I feel like, bro, I love Rami Malek, and I feel like they completely just did not like use him well in this movie.
Yeah, they didn't do him justice. I mean, I've seen him in Mr. Robot, and he's fantastic. And like, he gives the weirdo vibes, or he does a good job as a weirdo, you know? And being the weirdo he is, it's like he could have been one of the best Bond villains. Like, Le Chiffre is a weirdo. And that's what I love about him in Casino Royale. But Safin's kind of surface level, considering. I feel like there's not much depth to him.
This is like my biggest complaint about the film, and I want to talk to you guys about this because I need like clarification or something. But like, okay, his motivation in the first half of the movie is like, okay, it makes sense. It's like he's trying to wipe out Spectre because they killed his family. Okay, that's a relatable goal. I totally get that. The best villains always have some sort of relatability to them. So I'm like, okay, this is getting set up well. But then the more as the movie goes on, I'm like, okay, what is going on here? So then the next motivation for him is that he has some fucking weird boner for Madeline, which like I never got. But then the thing on top of that, the biggest cherry on top, the biggest like con I have with this film is, what is this dude's motivation to release, like turn into fucking Bond villain supreme here and like decide to release this out onto the population? Like I did not get it. Like, and that was
I didn't get that either.
Well, and there's even a part where James Bond is literally like, "What's your motivation?" And this dude just like, yeah, like he just even the villain does not have his own explanation for why he's doing this.
I even had to
chaos.
Pull up, chaos. Like even
chaos is for college football, not fucking pandemics, bro. Fuck off.
Yeah, and I had to pull up like fucking Wikipedia and shit. I'm like looking at, okay, this is what Wikipedia says, and this doesn't even make any sense. Inside, they discovered that the base has been converted into a nanobot factory where Obruchev is mass producing the technology. So Safin can unleash it globally to kill millions of people and establish a quote unquote new world order. What?
Yeah,
what does that even mean?
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's one big criticism I have. Okay. The other one is just like, he just such like, okay, what the fuck was the point of him taking Bond's daughter and then just letting her go? She's like, I don't want to go with you. And he's just like, then go. And then I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was like, okay, so you used Bond's daughter as like collateral. Like,
and then you just let her go. You're just like, fuck it. Just leave. Get out of here. Like that. I was sitting there. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what was the point of that?
And how the hell does she find her parents?
And she gets back to them before they even realize he let her go. Like, it's like that whole stupid ass scene where Bond's like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, like, forgive me, and like has this whole monologue about like giving people a second chance. And then they try to make it be like, oh look, the villain's giving his daughter a second chance, when in reality he's just like, okay, fucking, if you don't want to be here, fucking leave then. like that was so I was just sitting there, I was like, so why do we have this 15-minute fucking scene where he's holding a ransom just to just go, just leave? Like,
I guess it kind of like, it kind of plays to his villainness a little bit, in that he basically was like, you see daughter, your daddy is a bitch. Like, that was pretty much it.
And it was like,
he just lets her go.
Like, that was my thing for like the whole movie, because I was like waiting the whole movie. I'm like, okay, he has this nanobot technology and he's like, they're afraid he's gonna unleash it, but I'm like, I'm waiting the whole movie like to get the answer. Why does he want to do this? Why does he want to do this?
So one of my other criticisms is, the whole time they're talking to like M about Heracles, he keeps trying to tell them what it was originally developed for, and he never fucking says what the real thing was. Like, they're trying to say it like is making the best agents and like eliminating collateral. But what were they like? How? Like, how is Heracles supposed to improve agents that much? Like, they never said that, did they?
And you want to know the other thing about that? It goes completely against what his whole thing was, Inspector, because Inspector, it was like, oh, we can like remove the collateral of agents with surveillance and we'll know exactly who our enemies are and we can take care of it that way and get rid of collateral. And he's against that in Spectre. And then in this movie, he's like, oh yeah, like all about that. Like, I'm all about like getting. Yeah.
And another thing is relating to the whole Heracles weapon. Okay, when they open the movie and he's like swallow the flash drive, I thought they were gonna like kill him, and that's why he was supposed to like do it. But he's just like alive. Like, did he just have to wait to shit the flash drive back out? Like,
yeah, yes.
Like, that was so dumb. I was like, okay, so they're probably gonna kill this like doctor like in before they leave the building, but they took him with them, and he still swallowed a flash drive for some reason.
That was an interesting character, the doctor. Like, what was his dumb character? Whose side was he on?
Also,
yeah, what were
he's supposed to be a comic relief? Like,
yeah, that's what
he wasn't funny. He wasn't funny at all.
I'm like,
so
what
weird.
Yeah, I'm like, is he supposed to be annoying? Is that the point? Like, that's what I was getting confused at.
Okay, and then another thing. Okay, I'm just kind of trying to get all my like the annoying parts of the movie out. When they say Blofeld is like running this through that one agent's eye, okay, I get that he has the eyeball to see, but how is he controlling anything? Did they ever say how he controlled it? Because like I get that like, oh, like he's running it through this like eyeball like weapon that this guy has, but like how?
Yeah.
How is he? Like Blofeld doesn't have a fake eye in his eyeball. He's just
literally
has a
in a
dead
cage.
eye.
He's literally
like
in a
how
cage.
does he do it? Like what is this fucking like mind like super mind powers or like telekinesis or some bullshit? Like how is this even working?
And Blofeld's like, yeah, I've been behind everything from inside the prison. Like how is he even communicating to anyone from in there? Like how did he do the Vesper, like the Vesper's gravesite, the bomb at it? How did he do that?
Well, I think that was just like that one was, I think he put that there knowing at some point Bond would come there.
Oh, okay.
But how did it get set off? Like it just went off, didn't it?
Imagine if someone else
came to her grave. Must have been like yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? This is so stupid. I
guess he assumed no one was ever gonna visit her big ass memorial, even though there's like 8 or a dozen other things right next to it.
And she's not even the only one on that specific memorial. There's like 3 other people on that memorial with her. Like, I don't get it. Like, how are they able to target that? And then
Bond automatically is like, Madeline. it was my love.
Like, she did this. I'm like,
but that was her. That's the other thing I need clarification on is like, I still also don't get what was her secret? Like, what was her secret that he's like, oh, we like, remember, like, it's literally a line in the trailer where it's like, all of us have secrets. We just never got to yours yet. It's like, well, what is her secret? And even she's like, I got to tell you something, James. What is her secret? That some dude saved her when she was a kid? Like, I didn't get that. That she's like, could she not, like, can you guys explain it to me? I don't know.
Because she's not even connected with the villain until the second, like 5 years later. So like her secret couldn't have been that.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't like,
and it wasn't when he has the whole connected to Spectre because he knew, you know. I don't know.
I don't get it. There's so many like stupid things. And then the last big thing that I have was there were just so many times when I was watching where like the lines were just so cringe. Like okay, I get like the fan service. Yeah, like at the very end when she's like, I want to tell you a story about a man named Bond, James Bond, and then just cuts out. I was like, oh, fuck.
And she smiles.
This guy stinks.
It felt like a happy ending at the end of a horror movie where like
and the other one,
the other dies and sacrifices himself.
Yeah, the other quote that I really just like, the one that was worse than that, where I just tensed up like cringing, was when the other 00 like is fighting the guy and she's like, time to die, and then just like chase him. I'm like, what the fuck?
Let there be carnage.
Yeah, literally, that was a let there be carnage. That was a let there be carnage moment,
and
right
they
there.
never explained why the water made you like dissolve. Like when they touch the water, they're like dissolving. Like they never explain why that is.
That's kind of like everything we're saying. I feel like is a summation of like kind of my like problems I'm stating. Where I feel like it's so messy in terms of like there's so many plot points going on with so many different characters. Like it's so hard to follow. Like I wish they just stripped it down and this movie was about Bond. And like maybe it was like a mission about like him protecting his daughter that he finds out he has, you know? Like and it's like about that. Like but there's so much other shit going on. Like it's so confusing to understand what the hell is going on with the nanobots, like, and that alone. And
it feels like classic Bond in that way though, where that it is like there's so much else going on other than just, you know, with Bond, but I don't think it executes on all of those.
This is almost where I'm like, okay, I hated that whole trend where like the finales of a movie saga are like in 2 parts, but this movie could have used 2 fucking parts. Like there's so much shit that isn't fleshed out and just like kind of like they just like, oh yeah, we made this Heracles project and then okay, moving on.
like they could have stripped it down or they could have, you know, extended
also,
it.
Did anyone else think at the beginning of the movie when like they're by the way, I love one thing I want to point out. I love the transition into the song and the transition out of it, like cinematography wise. But that scene where they're breaking into the lab trying to steal it, right? Did anyone else think that gravity thing was going to come into play later in the movie, and it never did? Like,
the magnets thing.
Yeah,
I thought it would, but it was just one shot.
Yeah,
and I told Casey, like Casey was sitting next to me, and I was like, "Wow, that was really cool." Like them being able to stop themselves from falling down like 200 feet with magnets. Nope, they were done.
Yeah,
right after
that's it. No more.
Yeah, I thought maybe that would have had something to do with like the big bad's like tech,
plan.
or the plan exactly. But nope, another cool thing that just wasn't really fleshed out.
Another part, as much as I like the cinematography, I felt like that whole sequence where he was going up the stairs just fighting this gauntlet was too drawn out. And second of all, there's a part in there, like when he opens the final door and he's fighting the dude with the eyeball, where they literally back up into the camera. Like they literally backed up into the camera, and I'm like, okay, I guess I get it if you're like trying to do an action scene. But I was just like the screen just went black for like 2 seconds. I was like, did they like actually like intentionally just make them run into the fucking camera while they were doing the scene?
It felt like a video game.
Well, like that scene, that type of shot is actually like really it's considered like really that, like a lot of people are actually quoting that as like the best action scene in the film, because like it's all one take, like the entire shot, like from him at the bottom coming into that staircase going all the way up to the top, that entire like 2-minute sequence is one shot, which I thought was pretty cool. But my main complaint with that scene, and like multiple times in the movie, is like Bond gets his like, you think Bond would have no fucking legs from this film, dude? Like the amount of times he has an explosion happen right at his feet. Like, are they filling up these bombs with like firecrackers or some shit, dude? Like, how is like at the beginning of that staircase sequence at the end, they drop like 10 grenades down the stairwell.
Yeah, yes.
And he just jumps like 5 feet to the right and he's fine.
Yeah. And then there's another point midway on that staircase where a grenade falls right at his feet and he just gets blown back onto the wall. I'm like, dude, are these like firecrackers? Like what are in these grenades?
Yeah, and the other thing is, I get he's a main character, but how many fucking bullets can this man evade? Like he has like a fucking like thunderstorm, like a downpour of bullets on him, and he's just like running around like, using the human body shield that doesn't even cover his whole body, and he's still not getting shot. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little ridiculous, but like I actually think the best action scene is at the beginning, not that video game gauntlet at the end. I think it's at the beginning with the car chase. Like
that was awesome.
Yes, I want to give a shout out to the car chases. The car chases in this movie are fucking awesome.
And the emotion in Bond where he has Madeline in the passenger seat and he's just sitting there getting shot at, and the guy's like, boom, boom, boom.
He's like, James, say something.
That was insane. That was like that was some of the coolest shit I've seen in a Bond film.
That was an amazing.
Some of the most emotional. Like it made Bond feel so human in that moment. He's just like totally done. Like he's been screwed over, or so he thought. He's been screwed over for the last time. But then, of course, he comes in clutch at the end. And
that was awesome.
With the guns in the car, dude. Oh my gosh, that Aston Martin is just classic. I'm going to miss seeing that. I hope there's more Bond, but there's obviously not going to be any more Daniel Craig Bond after this. But I think that was the best. Like, I don't think it was the best opening in a Bond film, but it was pretty close. I really like that car chase.
It was probably in terms of like everything that happened. Like I view like opening scenes as everything before the song. That's probably my second.
Right, same. And I thought it was really cool what they did too, where for half of the opening scene, his hearing was like muffled. And I thought they would carry that on a little bit further, and that maybe he would even be deaf for the whole movie, and they'd
the whole movie's just
oh my god, if the whole movie's audio was mixed like that, I would have fucking left, bro.
I thought that's actually the direction they were going for a second.
In my theater, like that part where he's like avoiding the parade and he like rides up the ramp like this like impromptu ramp with the
Yes.
motorcycle. And, like everyone in my theater was like, "Oh."
Oh, I love hearing noises in the movie theater. Like this movie especially actually made me think like, damn, I miss coming to the theaters, and I'm glad I can keep coming.
I thought that
Like,
too. And
just the sound and everything. It's such a big movie.
yeah,
Like the biggest movie that's come out in theaters since COVID.
What did were you guys kind of surprised? I was kind of surprised that I felt like how long it took for the opening song to start. Like
yeah, it was like
20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a very long opening sequence.
I was wondering like
again.
I thought it would just be right after the like when it showed Madeline as a kid or whatever and her mom getting killed.
Yeah.
I thought it would be right after that. But then it went into 15 more minutes of like a traditional Bond opening.
Yeah.
Like it started off with like a little bit of untraditional stuff at the very beginning, and then to kind of carry it on from Spectre, and then it kind of had a more traditional Bond opening from there. But I thought it was a really good Bond opening overall.
Did you,
just
long. What'd you guys think of the song? I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
it was all right. Not as good as Adele's Skyfall one.
Yeah,
that's a classic.
I wish it was like more like it had higher highs. Like when it really like the chorus built up, I wish it was just a little bit more grandiose.
Yeah, it had like one grandiose moment, like right when she said "No Time to Die" for like the first time. I thought that was like the coolest moment of the song, and then it just tapers off from there.
Yeah,
but I've never been like a huge Billie Eilish fan. I like the sound of her voice. And I do think that she's probably gonna, be a household name for a long time as an artist, and especially like cementing her greatness as a Bond song artist. But yeah, I think that it was like kind of mid in terms of opening songs.
I thought it was better than fucking Sam Smith's shit. But
I thought it was better than Spectre and Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. It was middle. It was middle of the pack for me.
But at least you got Hans Zimmer doing the composition, because that shit was
beautiful. I agree.
Yeah, I need to go back and like, Andrew, you got to send me some songs, because actually like that's actually something I didn't even like notice too much. But yeah, Hans Zimmer always delivers with the music in his films.
I thought the song at the end, when it's like the closing scene and he's like, talking to Madeline, it's all emotional and shit. That reminded me a lot of that song "Time" from Inception that Hans Zimmer also did.
Yeah, shit, I'm gonna have to listen back to it.
Yeah, good composition.
By the way, like kind of speaking about the movie in general, were you guys expecting it to be like such a direct sequel to Spectre? Because I was really thrown off by that.
Because I'm not used to having a Bond movie where I have to know the previous movie, because they're all, I mean, to an extent, like it helps to know the background story, but like I feel like most of them are like one-offs where you don't really need it, but this one felt like one where it was like almost required that you watch Spectre before.
Yeah,
and it really was a direct sequel. Like you would have no idea who the hell Blofeld is. It picked up
basically right where Spectre left off.
Like
almost exactly.
John, I gotta ask you, like, I'm kind of surprised by how much Parker supposedly enjoyed this film, because like he didn't see Spectre. So like,
I know, that's what I thought. I was thinking he was gonna give it like a bad score, and I'd be like, well, go watch Spectre and then watch it again. But he really liked it.
Yeah. I thought he might have commented on like, oh, who is that Blofeld guy in the middle? Or like,
who's Madeline? And who's
yeah, exactly. Like maybe he just thought it was another Bond girl, and that like there didn't need to be explanation. But yeah, I mean, it was a direct sequel to Spectre, so I'm not sure. Like, we'll have to follow up with him on that next.
And I felt bad. I felt bad for like, because I saw it like in a big group of people, and me, Tana, and another friend, we had seen all of them, right? We had seen Spectre, but like the other 4 people had not seen Spectre, and I was like, yeah, and it was like, I kind of felt bad, because I was like, I mean, I knew it was going to have some follow through threads, but I wasn't thinking it was going to be like a direct, like Spectre is almost like a required viewing to like properly get this film. And it's actually kind of weird.
Is understandable how like some people would go into that thinking like, oh, it's the last James Bond film, maybe I'll go see it. but it's a direct sequel, and you need to have Spectre to really understand it. But even then, you might not understand it fully.
And it's kind of interesting to me. Like, I feel like like maybe it's not the consensus that Skyfall is the best, but it's in contention, right? It's kind of funny how, in the grand scheme of things, how you could honestly take Skyfall out and like it would not, because this movie feels like a sequel to to Casino and Spectre. Like I feel like it's to me, I just think it's an interesting observation, like how you could really skip it if you cared that much specifically about the James Bond like lore. Like you could skip over Skyfall. Don't skip Skyfall because it's amazing, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. But also one scene I wanted to point out, like kind of talking about positives, because I feel like that's where we should get into those positives. I thought that Ana de Armas was amazing in this film for like the 10 minutes she was in the movie. I thought her character was awesome, and I thought that little sequence was like one of my highlights of the movie. And I was honestly disappointed that she was barely in the film, because she was like awesome. I thought her character was just, I don't know, like this. She was like a good counterpart to Bond, and I thought she had better chemistry in those like 10 minutes than like Madeline did.
I agree, dude.
I liked how
it was so good.
They wrote her just like this rookie like CIA operative, which was like very interesting, because she's like, yeah, this is my first one, like, and then she's like sipping on his cocktail, and she just like fucking chugging the damn thing. I was like, geez, I mean, I thought they wrote her character really good, and I wish she would have been throughout more of the movie.
Yeah, like the action scene, like her and Bond just played so well together, and even he was like, we need to like get on another mission sometime, or we need to work together again, or like nice working with you. But then he dies at the end. Yeah. They didn't flesh her out much. I also really liked the scenes with Finn, or the Watcher. It's the Watcher from Marvel, right? Isn't that the same guy?
Yeah, it is. Felix.
Or Felix, not Finn. Why did I say Finn? Felix.
Because Finn's right here, bucko.
Yeah, you're a cat. I liked Felix. I thought that, like, I actually understood kind of Bond's camaraderie. Yeah. And I liked how it carried that on from Casino Royale. It was fan servicey in the fact that it called back, to the first film.
It's kind of also like I like, it's kind of like the actor's name is Jeffrey Wright, and it's like it's kind of funny like seeing him in all this stuff now, because he's the Watcher. In What If, he's Isaac in Last of Us 2.
Oh,
yeah. Oh my God.
And he's James Gordon in the new Batman movie.
Yeah, he's going to be Commissioner Gordon.
Holy shit. He's like hitting 52, 3, 4, however old he is now. And he's just like roll after roll after roll after roll.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's funny that that's happening now, because like he was like, like watching all these Bond movies in succession. Like he was back around in Casino Royale at those days, like... But no, that's also one thing in terms of continuity. I like that, like Felix is kind of Bond's CIA like counterpart, and he's like coming to Bond for like help through all this stuff, and they're buddies. And I like that line where it's like, I think he tells it to Blofeld, where he's like, I had a brother, and it was like his name was Felix or something.
God, and
then how about the most unforgettable dude? His partner, Felix's partner.
Oh, I was gonna say he has like the most wasted potential of any fucking like pseudo villain in the whole
the secondary, the lamest secondary.
He was killed so lamely.
Yeah, he just Bond just drops the car on him in the forest. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like they're like the whole there was like that whole sequence where like
that sequence was good though.
Logan Ash and he was like searching like crazily with it, and then like it is cool how they find out where he's going, because like he's like, why are you tracking me and then he's like stops and he's like, oh shit. Which is like kind of cool, but
the big bald dude from Spectre was a better like supplementary villain, I thought.
Yeah.
What's his name? The big buff
Batista.
Dave Bautista's character.
I love him. I love him as an actor.
He was awesome. And it's funny because he doesn't even say a single word in Spectre.
I know.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything, but he's just badass, just his presence.
Yeah, but I thought like before that, like that whole Misty Forest sequence was really good. Like with Bond like shooting the gun up in the air and like
and then he does the
wire.
The Star Wars.
The wire.
Yeah. And I like that shot of like where it's just Bond standing and just the car like flipping over, like like going across. Like I thought that was awesome.
Dude, also and, shout out Q.
Yeah.
Q's got a boyfriend. Go off, man.
Fuck yeah, they do. Yeah, I caught that. Like just when you said like, oh, he's coming over.
Yeah,
like,
I thought. Okay, I thought at first that like I thought he was like trying to like date Moneypenny because like I thought she was the one that was supposed to come over, and then when Bond was with her, he was like, oh motherfucker. I didn't know it was like a whole different person. Like he just had a boyfriend coming over, man. He's just trying to cook a nice dinner and he got roped into this shit.
I also think it's funny, like how in Hollywood, like, like, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong that like we're starting to see like that, but like the furthest like in mainstream movies that there will be a mention of a gay character will be like just something like that, like just the slightest mention, like, oh, he's coming over, or like I remember in Endgame where it was like when fucking Captain America is doing that group therapy session and some dude is like my husband, like just this like slight like throwaway mention of like, hey, we're accepting of like, you know, like
right.
Like
they just have to get it in there.
Yeah. Like come on, how about you actually like have a gay relationship if you're gonna do that, like in, you know, one of the characters or something. But from like going from there, like in terms of positives, we talked about this. Bond has a daughter. Like, were you expecting that? Like,
well, we talked about it a little bit with like, you know, the villain and like how he just let her go at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of cute how it kind of showed Bond's human nature a lot with the daughter and his relationship with her, even though like he doesn't technically get confirmation until seconds before he dies that it's his daughter. But like even during the climax of the film where he stopped to grab his girl's stuffed animal, like it really like added to his humanity as a character. So I liked it. But other than that, I thought she was a weak character. She's a very young girl though. I mean,
yeah, I thought it was a weird wrinkle to even like, to me, to like even try to like allude to the fact that like, or try to like make us think that she's not his daughter.
I know.
Like,
why'd they bother?
Yeah. Why did they even bother not telling? Like, why did she bother trying to fake him
until the very end, as if it was supposed to be like a surprise?
And even the villain is like, you can have, or no, like even before that, like even before he gets confirmation,
the villain says it.
The villain tells him like, oh, you're like, you had a kid with him or something, like, and that's like probably in the grand scheme of things like 10 to 15 minutes after like the baby is introduced to the whole movie. So I don't know, I thought that was a weird wrinkle to add, because then obviously like Ren, she's like, it's not yours when she first sees it. I'm like, okay, well, wait, I thought the twist was then gonna be, oh, the kid is like Safin's like kid or some shit like that. But
that would have been insane.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was a weird wrinkle, but it is what it is. I guess. Oh, one thing worth talking about, because this had a lot of controversy before the movie came out. I guess like incels or some shit, but that people thought that this movie was being trying to be woke or some shit because Bond isn't 007. It's what's her character's name? Nomi. Nomi is the new 007. People are like, oh, this is them trying to like get rid of Bond and make her the main character. Like, I thought that was completely silly. Because it's very clearly Bond's film. That was just kind of another wrinkle and another little subplot. I feel like
another little subplot that wasn't like fully fleshed out. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the 007 number, it didn't really matter for the film, in my opinion. It didn't matter to the story too much. It just kind of like further explains that this really is Daniel Craig's last Bond film.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's really just what it.
Yeah, that is passing it off to someone else.
Yeah.
But like one thing I really want to hit home, and I feel like expressed this enough, is like how great Daniel Craig is in this film. Like there's so many scenes where they give him to shine, like specifically right off the beginning when he does visit Vesper's like grave, and he's just standing there and he's like, I miss you, like, you know, like, right, like you just haven't seen a scene like that from Bond where he like lets his guard down and says something like that. And you know, like even you see him more as a human, like when he's like even talking to, and I thought this was one of the best scenes actually was when he's talking to Blofeld, the one scene Blofeld has. And he's just kind of like, I don't know, like it felt like they were talking like normal people, like, you know, like, hey, like I can just help, like if you just tell me what to do, like
right,
you know, like I can do
I
this.
actually like the conversation there. It kind of added to Blofeld's depth that he didn't get in Spectre.
And I thought his one scene in this film was better than any of his scenes in Spectre.
I agree.
But I thought that was really good, and I could do kind of like that he like snaps out on Blofeld and accidentally kills him. Like, right. I will say, I thought it was
the virus or whatever, the Heracles.
Yeah, I thought it was a little cringy the way he like said the line. He was like, "Die, Blofeld, die," or some shit like that.
Die.
Yeah, but I thought that scene was still really good. But like honestly, just Daniel Craig is like, that is what honestly elevates this movie so much for me. His performance, like even when, like I don't even think that him and Madeline have that much chemistry. Like that's kind of like one of the sins of this film, like that it sadly had to carry over from Spectre. But like he delivers it, he sells it, where like he's like I feel like I believe it more in this film than any other Bond film that he genuinely loves her based off of his performance, like more than Casino Royale.
I believe that he loves Vesper more in this film than he did in Casino Royale.
Yeah, like that.
She's gone. She's been gone for 15 years.
Just like that stuff, like about like just that scene at the beginning with him at her grave, like that felt like so human to me. And even like just a lot of the just banter and conversations, like Daniel Craig gives like an amazing, like he's an amazing actor. If you've seen him in other movies, like he's great.
This is by far the most dialogue that Daniel Craig has in a Bond film. It to me, it seems like he has way more dialogue in this one than any other film.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great send off for him in terms of like his performance and things like that. But like, what did you guys think about Dan? Like,
he was amazing.
Yeah,
dude, he was amazing. Yeah, I'll start us off quick to because I had some thoughts. I mean, seeing him in the emotional state that he is, like at the beginning, even I knew from the very beginning in the opening scene where he was just like staring off into space, basically accepting death at that point because he had been betrayed, or so he thought. He had been betrayed by Madeline, just like he did Vesper when they were getting shot in the Aston Martin at the very beginning. Like that's the most depth I've seen to Bond, I feel like, so far in this movie. Like he fully developed as a character and was really like treated in this film as a human being rather than a 00 agent. And I love actually that he wasn't 007 anymore, because that even further kind of hit it home that he's just a person and he's not this badass agent anymore. He's really a human being. And like, I think every subplot is trying to further hit that home, is that he is, you know, a human being at the end of the day. Yeah. And, you know, some things don't hit home all the way, but I think it's fan servicey in that it really does like bring everything full circle in a way, and bring like Bond to somewhat of a happy ending, but also a sad ending because he dies. But like he just feels so real.
Yeah, and I just want to add also, like going off of you, John, like, bro, like if you look at the entire Daniel Craig fucking like arc, bro, this is like the genuinely one of the most depressing characters in like a blockbuster franchise. This like Bond in these series of films, like his arc is just shitty, like in terms of like not like actual quality, like it's shitty, like in terms of like this guy has a sad fucking life.
Like, his parents died. Like
his parents died
by everyone.
Yeah, M died. Vesper died. His stepbrother's trying to kill him. He dies because he doesn't get to see his family and he's poisoned. Like he does not get any happiness or any reprieve like throughout any of these films. And it's like, it's also like that, which makes it extra sad that like he does die, because this is without doubt like one of the most depressing iterations of character, like a big franchise character on the big screen that I've like ever seen. I feel like
I agree. Like, I almost don't think they needed to kill him off. I don't know. I don't really like. I feel like they could have accomplished the exact same thing by not killing him.
I would have honestly like felt like with how depressing his entire arc has been, it would have been cool for him to end it off getting his due. You know, him getting to be with his family at the end and live happily ever after. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree. I would have liked to see that kind of happy ending for Bond, because he never got it. He never got it. You have to go back to the old Bond films to see if maybe he had a happy ending. Maybe there's one in there, but it's probably more
not Daniel Craig.
Physical. Yeah, Daniel Craig did not get that happy ending. It is sad.
But what about you, Andrew? Like, what do you think about like Danny Craig's performance?
I mean, I mirror most of John's opinions on it. I also like how they introduced like kind of like doesn't really hash it out that much, but he has like a fatherly parent type role finally, which adds another like human dimension to it. But yeah, I mean, this motherfucker has like the most depressing arc like ever. Like it's just like it's such like his life just sucks, and like I kind of don't blame him for just staying on that island, especially because the one shining part of his life he can't even see without killing now. So it's like I get it, but also like it's weird to just see like a main character like that like die. I mean, I don't know. It's just like he just has a depressing arc and it ends in a depressing way. Like his whole like the only thing that brings him happiness is just like gone now. Like it's inaccessible to him, because even if he does access it, then she dies and then it's inaccessible again. So it's just like a very somber life that ends in a very somber way.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've kind of jumped around and really covered pretty much like I feel like all the bases really with this film. So I say let's give our final thoughts. Maybe your favorite action scene or favorite scene, least favorite scene, your final thoughts, and then also I want to know this: who would you want to be the next Bond? So Andrew, how about you start off, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I think kind of I'll go with the best action scene. I think was the opening car chase. In that first opening scene, I thought that was like super badass. And it was just kind of like a nice continuation from Spectre, I guess. But like just seeing him drive that car through all those like tight, narrow ass streets was super cool. And like being able to like just kind of like, you know, get out of it, especially when the car starts just like the Gatling guns on the headlights just start rolling and just spinning around and shit. Like it's just a cool ass scene, like in general. I mean, I think kind of my final thoughts is like, I think it was a good swan song for Daniel Craig. Although I think if they had gone and hashed out more specific points, like if the villain didn't kind of suck and like there were like so many parts that were kind of unexplained, I think it would have been a better send off. But I also, it's just kind of odd that they killed him off, because like I don't really know like how you bring Bond back in. Like
you're gonna have to
obviously
reboot it.
Yeah, you do have to reboot it, and which is kind of weird, but I mean, I at the end of the day, I like it. I don't like it nearly as much as Skyfall. I think Skyfall is like as close to perfect as a Bond movie could get, and I don't think this reaches it, just for like, you know, I mean, we went on a whole like 30-minute thing about all the bad things about the movie. So I mean, if you want to know why it doesn't match up with Skyfall, just go re-listen to that. But I mean, it was a good movie at the end of the day. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was able to see it in a theater, because I think if it would have come to streaming, it wouldn't have hit as hard. And I think the movie, along with the music and all the implications, kind of just like was a nice swan song for Daniel Craig. The next James Bond, you know, I don't know. I always saw people say Idris Elba was going to be it, which would be really cool, but I mean, I don't know if that had any validity to it, but I mean, I think he would be a good Bond, or like God, I'm trying to think. What's that other fucking what's the other like James? Oh, Kingsman. Who's Edgar or Taron Edgar? Fuck, I can't remember what that
Taron
guy's
Egerton,
name is.
the guy who's like
Yeah. I could see him being the next Bond. Maybe. I mean, he's British. You know, he's got the background. I mean, he did Kingsman, which I that's why I don't think he would do it, because he's already like the Kingsman guy. But I don't know. I think. Do you want me to give my rating?
Yeah, what's your rating, and then maybe we can also rank it amongst the other Bond films too.
Yeah. Do your ranking, your personal ranking, and then I'll compile it for all of us put together.
Okay, yeah. So I would give it a 8 out of 10. I think it was a good movie that is memorable, and I would watch it again. There's just some specific things that I alluded to earlier that I can't like I gave Skyfall a 9.5 earlier. Like this movie is definitely not near, it shouldn't be anywhere near Skyfall in my opinion, but I mean it's still a good movie. Like I said, quality swan song for Craig. I mean I think eight is where I'll go with this one. I think it was a great movie, but there's just some specific things that they missed out on that stopped it from being a great movie.
So and then how would you rank it then?
I
can tell you from your scores if you want.
Let's see.
I wrote out all of our scores.
Okay, so I gave Skyfall a 9.5. So that's probably my favorite, because then I gave Casino Royale an 8.5, Spectre an 8, and then this an 8. So I mean, I think that's pretty on par. I mean, I would compare it pretty. I think it being scored the same as Spectre is it makes sense.
So you would tie it with Spectre, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Don, what about you?
Yeah. Well, I guess let me kind of just give my all-encompassing thoughts. I'll give my rating, and then how it compares to the rest of the Bond.
Give films. your favorite or least favorite scene as well too.
Oh, right. So I think the car chase at the beginning as well is one of my favorite scenes. Not only because of the action portion of it and how well done it is. Like I said, I think it's really cool how it starts off with Bond kind of being deaf and having to navigate around and dodge things being deaf. Like he gets shot at first and he doesn't even realize it until after, he's being shot at, and he sees the bullets. And I thought that was really cool. But not only that, but it like shows the true emotion of Bond, and that he's just totally lost hope in that moment. And it's the very beginning, the intro scene. I just love how fleshed out Bond is as a character in this film. I think my least favorite scene is probably anything with the doctor. And then, but nah, for real. He's so unfunny, but I think it was like silly that nothing was really fully developed or fleshed out with the villains. And in fact, I think my least favorite scene is where Daniel Craig is talking to Safin at the end.
Which part? When they're laying in the water?
No, where Safin's holding his daughter. I just thought that was like with a villain that was so like not fleshed out, and for him to like try and be super badass in that moment and be like, oh, you see, like your father ain't shit. Like I just didn't think it really fit. I didn't really think it fit the moment or the mood. And I think it was probably the worst scene, especially because seconds after, he just lets his daughter go. He just lets Bond's daughter go. So it really like lowers the stakes of the moment, and it makes the whole ending of the movie seem pretty low stakes, and how easy it was for Bond to like really stop everything from happening anyway. So I thought that was my least favorite scene. And I think that actually is like the biggest negative of the film, is that the villain is not fleshed out. And I think there's a lot of things that really aren't fleshed out or totally explained. And like people's motives aren't really, like, they just don't make sense at the end of the day. And I think it suffers from a lot of the same problems that Spectre does. it's got, you know, a lot of fan service, and I think it's a nice send-off for Daniel Craig's Bond. I do recommend it to anyone that, you know, again, has seen Bond, or even if you just like action films, I think you'd really enjoy this. It's got really everything you want in a Bond film, including the crappy villain. I'd actually, I think it would be really interesting to see Robert Pattinson as Bond. I think he could do a really good job as Bond, and I think that's actually like the perfect next step for him as an actor. Like, I think he'd do a really good job in a reboot as Bond. I don't think they need to carry anything over from this. And I don't think that they would make another movie where like maybe the new 007 is a new Bond character, and like they're gonna run with her as 007 and like continue the story. I don't think that's happening. So I don't think that anyone that hated that idea, I don't think you have to worry. I think Bond is still going to be Bond, and they'll probably reboot it in a decade or less. And then if I were to give it a rating, funny enough, I'm going to give it the exact same score I did Spectre, which is the exact same scores that Andrew gave, with an 8 out of 10. I think it is great in being a Bond film, but it's kind of like, for me, James Bond is similar to Star Wars, where it gets kind of an automatic bump because of like the world that it's in and what it does. And, you know, it's got a good formula that I really enjoy, and characters that I really enjoy as well. But it's just the fact that like the villain and a lot of the motives behind the characters don't really make sense. But I just love James Bond. And I think that the cinematography and sound is incredible. And the directing of this movie, for the most part, is really good. It's just the writing. At the end of the day, with Bond films, I think that the writing, if it was just a little bit simplified like Skyfall was, where it is a simple story and it's very easy to execute, I think this could have been like the best Bond film easily. But they tried to make it a little bit more larger than life than it needed to be. And there was the world-ending threat in the background that I think was a little bit unnecessary to accomplish what they wanted to with this. So at the end of the day, my rating of all of them, I actually think Casino Royale would be at the top, even though I would rate it the same as Skyfall, where they're both a 9 for me. But Casino Royale just has like these big hard-hitting moments and memorable things about it to me that like it's just a little bit over the edge. And since we stick to 0.5s, they have the same score, but I would give Casino Royale like a 9.2 if I were being technical, and Skyfall would be like an even 9 for me. No Time to Die, an 8. But I think it edges out Spectre a little bit because it has balls and it does some things that Spectre didn't, obviously, like James Bond dying. I think it took a lot of balls to do that, even though maybe he didn't need to. I don't know. They didn't really, I mean, the stakes, I guess, yeah, you know, he wouldn't be with his family ever again because of the nanobot virus or whatever. So it makes sense. But I thought it was a pretty good send-off, and I think it just edges out Spectre because of that. And then Quantum of Solace is definitely bottom tier, with a 6.5. The villain is the worst. The story makes no sense, and there are no stakes to that. But that was very long-winded. Ursula, do you want to try and encompass everything between who the next Bond could be, your rating, your rankings, and best and least favorite scenes?
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a fucking poser here, but a lot of my stuff is gonna actually overlap with like you guys. My favorite scene, thinking back to it, it is that opening chase scene. There's specifically a shot I remember where it's like showing the cars being shot and like the bells of the like church are like going back and forth, and like like I didn't even think about, I never even viewed it, John, like as how you said it until now, which makes me appreciate it more. Like that him sitting in that car is kind of like him like being like fuck this, like, you know, like I kind of just viewed it as him trying to figure out what to do. So like I'm glad that you said that, and like it kind of gives me more appreciation for that scene and that sequence as a whole. like how lost he feels in that whole sequence. And there's also a lot of great moments, and a lot of those moments are like in the trailer, you know, like him jumping off the bridge with the rope, that pulling out the car, you know, there's that scene is just all encompassing, and it's a great sequence. And it just felt like, and it's just really well made too. So that's probably my favorite sequence. And then least favorite scene, it's probably going to be, yeah, John, same as you. It's probably going to be them talking, because it was just like, that's your opportunity to lay your cards out on the table for that villain and really explain them.
Right.
And there's nothing done there. And it just felt a little goofy. I also want to give a shout out to the scene with him and Blowfield. I thought that was a really good scene. And Ana de Armas, as short as she was in the movie, was fantastic. Who I want to be the next Bond, I'm gonna try to be different from you guys. I'm gonna say two different ones. I'm gonna try to stick with British actors. Tom Hiddleston, who's Loki. I feel like that could be a good, interesting choice.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good thought.
And then another, this is a little more unorthodox, but I feel like it'd be cool. I feel like Tom Hardy could also be a cool Bond, like a very like physical Bond. So those are my two choices. Idris Elba, I would have said Idris Elba, but I feel like he's like getting really old now, and like, I don't know, like that was like, I feel like that would have been a dream pick like 10 years ago. But now I don't know if it would be as good. But also, like, there's been like 4 Bonds before Daniel Craig, and I'm pretty sure one of them had a 2-movie run. So it's like, it's not like necessarily you have to sign up for like a 15-year fucking career as Bond.
Right.
If you're
like, but, that's pretty insane. That's a long.
Yeah, and that's the longest one too. So, but I do not envy whoever has to follow Daniel Craig. I will just say that. Okay, so but pros and cons. I don't think this movie has like the highs of something like Spectre. Like, I think that opening scene in Spectre is amazing. I think that like meeting sequence is a great introduction. Like, I wanted this movie to follow that same trend as Skyfall and Spectre, where that first introduction to the villain is like just this really well done. And I'm talking about the intro of Bond to the villain, not necessarily like that villain's intro like on screen. I felt like I was really wanting that to be a lot better than it was. And it's not, they don't even meet until the end of the movie, which is
right.
Something which is interesting. But seriously, yeah, a lot of my problems with this movie lie with the villain and how fucking confusing his entire scheme makes the rest of the film, and adds a lot of unnecessary baggage to it. Still, like, I don't know what the stakes are. Everyone I've talked to doesn't know what the stakes are. What are the motivations behind this dude doing what he's doing? And I would have loved, in an ideal situation, I would have loved for this film to take, like, when I think of like movies like this, like trying to cap off a specific character, like end their series off, like I think a movie like Logan is an amazing example of like finding a way to like having a really personal story, and it's about the character, and like using that to end them off, you know, instead of it being this big, large scale story. I would have loved for this movie to take the Logan route, where it is smaller scale and it's really personal with the main character. I felt like this movie kind of took more of the Dark Knight Rises approach, but didn't execute it as well as Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. There's a lot of parallels between this and Dark Knight Rises, I feel like, but I just think Dark Knight Rises has just executed things a lot better. Personally, like, Dark Knight Rises, I think, is a great film. I don't think this movie is a great film. Like, I love The Dark Knight Rises, but this movie I didn't love. I enjoyed. I wanted to love it. I didn't love it, but yeah. And then also, yeah, I just think there's a lot of plot threads that start getting introduced that make it just like keep this movie about Bond. It should have just been about Bond, and a lot of other things make it confusing. But pros, like, I think some of the action sequences are really well done. The cinematography, the sound, everything fantastic on a technical level. And I think that what elevates this movie really is Daniel Craig's performance. Fantastic, amazing. He really sells it in every scene he's in. And regardless of the baggage with the villain and the plot holes and things like that, I think they do stick the landing at the end of the day. I think people are going to be satisfied with this. And I think that, this could have been a lot worse of an ending. This could have been Quantum of Solace tier, which is not what we would have wanted. I wanted so what I'm going to say is this. I wanted it to be a higher tier. Like, I wanted to enjoy this more than Spectre. It's what I mean by disappointing is, like, it's kind of around the same tier as Spectre for me. I think Spectre has higher highs, but I also think Spectre has lower lows. Like, I think the second half of Spectre is kind of stinky. And I think base quality, No Time to Die is a lot more, like, consistent. So taking all that into consideration, I'm actually going to give No Time to Die the same score I gave Spectre, which is a 7.
I was leaning an original idea.
We had Spectre and No Time to Die.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was originally gonna give I was gonna give No Time to Die 6.5, but some of our discussions made me appreciate some of the nuances and things more, like specifically like some things you pointed out, John and Andrew, like made me like appreciate a little more. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, they got the emotional payoff and they stuck the landing. It was a good look. It tied a nice bow on it. At the end of the day, after all of the fuckery the movie went through, at the end, on the character himself, Bond as the character, they put a nice bow on it, even though the plot was kind of confusing. So I'm going to give it a 7. That puts No Time to Die average 7.7. So putting that, just ranking it all together, our ControllerCast ranking, worst to best. Worst is Quantum of Solace. From there, tied for, would that be third place? Yeah, third place.
Yep.
Is Spectre and No Time to Die. And from there, and that's 7.7 for each. And then from there, Casino Royale is second place with an 8.6. And then finally, Skyfall, it comes out on top for us, and that is 9.3. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed us talking about such a recent movie and really going in depth with that. Go check it out if you're a Bond fan. And if you're not a Bond fan, watch the other movies and then go watch it, because it's definitely a series worth watching. So that's all I really have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. Share if you can, with whoever, real life, socials, whatever. And that is Ursula signing off, and we'll see you guys next week.
Johnny signing off. See you guys next week. Like and share.
Thanks, everybody.